What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing tonight? Share the stream with your favorite Protestant buddy. Yes. I like where your mind is at, Theos Thinker. That's right. Very good. Let's go. Yes. Need to use Pentecostal as your opening song. That has been on my mind. Certainly has been on my mind. Cleve knows what's up. Yeah. W Alex, W stream, Alex1. Cleve is in the chat. Yo, give it up for Ben. Ben is a real one, honestly. Ben has always been a real one since like the very beginning. It was like him and Cassian King that reached out like really early on. And they were like, yo, you have potential. I was born in Romania. Are you going to do X where people can come up and ask questions? Yeah, I'll start it later. We'll see if there's enough interest because every time I do an X spaces, literally nobody shows up, dog. So I'm thinking maybe I'll grow my X a little bit and then I'll grow my YouTube a little bit. And then after that, I'll open up the X spaces again because like I'm just not getting enough attention on them, man. Sorry, I kept you guys waiting. I have this like irrational fear that I'm going to show up on camera. I'm going to have like something on my face because I was eating my nightly toast with the Nativity Fest and I got a bit of coffee here. So I like spend extra amount of time looking in the mirror and make sure I don't have like anything on my face. Ecclesial anxiety. It's in the Bible. Yeah. Cleve's interview with Father Paul was fantastic. I wasn't there for the stream, but I watched a large segment of it today. Gotta post more rage bait. Brother, okay, we will talk about that today. You're too nice for X. Oh, it's like my greatest strength and my greatest weakness at the same time, dude. I don't really know what to do about it. Seraphim Rose 7, we've spoken about the genuine Orthodox Church that one time, but I would like to tell you I'm becoming Orthodox tomorrow. Glory to God. And I'm in the process of becoming a Greek monk. Thank you, Alex, and God bless you. Brother, that is awesome. Glory to God. That's great. I'm very glad to hear that. We need more monks in the United States of America. It's very important to have people praying and to spread the word of God across all the nations. Our charitable orthobro verse need God. Yeah, the problem is that need God is not charitable because he tries to right off the bat put whoever whatever interlocutor is going against him, tries to put them in a defensive position with the prompt. That's what you see happening between him and Jay. The thing is, that has happened to me often in litigation, and I'm not shaken by anything like that. So I'm willing to take a prompt like that, but he will not respond. It's radio silence from Need God, radio silence from Bible in Context, and radio silence from Gavin Ortland, even though, thanks to you guys, I suspect this is your guys doing. On his latest video, I'm pretty sure it's the top most liked comment. I'm pretty sure, dude. Okay, so guys, I blundered big time in my last video. Enormous blunder. My career is over before it's even begun as an Orthodox apologist here. No, it was just like a little minor mistake. It doesn't even actually affect the substance of my last video. But it's regarding Saint Isaac the Syrian. So in my video, I said that he was outside the boundaries of the formal institution of the church, right? It turns out that it is actually a bit more nuanced than that, and I would have known that had I watched the video that Craig Truglia posted. I think it was like the same day or the day before that I posted that video. I should have watched it, but basically, I'm going to pull up Craig's video here in a second because he does a good job of explaining that there's like a spectrum of schism, and I'm hesitant to use the word spectrum because it's gotten such a bad rap with like the gender spectrum, but there's like a spectrum of schism, right? So I'm going to pull up his video here because he actually does an excellent job explaining it. So basically, I'll give you guys the summation before I pull up the video. Basically, the Church of the East at the time of Saint Isaac the Syrian was not totally in good standing with the canonical church because they refused to accept Ephesus, obviously, but they weren't in a full-on schism, right? So I'll just have Craig explain it here. It's black. It's darkness. There we go. Okay, I'll have Craig explain this here. The spectrum of the schism spectrum.
Like the Great Schism is not instant. And so I want to make this chart very big because I think if someone would have made this before me, it would have helped this issue. So I made a schism spectrum, and we're going to now land on the wheel, the schism spectrum. Where does Isaac the Syrian land when he became a bishop and when he was writing? So
Craig, actually, he's got a great channel. So if you guys aren't familiar with Craig Truglia already, I suspect if you know about me, you probably know about Craig because he's been around for a minute in this Orthodox space. But you see here on the right, like normal communion, right? So this would just be, he goes on to say it's like between Bulgaria and Russia or between Romania and Serbia. It's just normal communion. And then you have like something like the Meletian schism over here to the left, which is like a bit more tenuous, you know, like although Rome didn't recognize Saint Meletius as, you know, the rightful bishop of Antioch, and everybody in the East basically did. They were still communing with Rome at the time, but it was a more tenuous relationship. And then you have the Church of the East, which is a bit more tenuous than the Meletian schism. And then you have the true Orthodox and the non-Chalcedonians over here, the Oriental Orthodox. So I think Craig is right. Also, if you go through the actual video, he has some sources, and he does a good job to actually qualify them and tell us like how much emphasis, how much weight should we put on these sources. So we have the true Orthodox over here, the non-Chalcedonians over here, and I'll just let him explain. Actually, no, we got a super chat from True41C, $5, $4.99. Thank you very much, True41C. You're a real one. Had just finished watching Craig's video, then watched yours. The timing of the videos is honestly hilarious, but props for the quick correction. That's the thing. Everybody's going to make mistakes eventually. You know, the idea is that we're going to own up to them and say like, yeah, it was a mistake. And honestly, I don't think it's like that. It's not really a material mistake, but because the Church of the East is not in perfect communion with the canonical churches at the time of Saint Isaac the Syrian. If you watch Craig's video, he uses language like the canonical churches tolerated the Church of the East and whatnot. And this is not a knock on Saint Isaac the Syrian. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about the Church of the East. St. Isaac the Syrian very obviously was Orthodox in his teachings, and I think I said that in the video as well. If I didn't, I probably should have. I'm saying it now. He was very Orthodox in his teachings. Craig even says that he was condemned by the Nestorian Church for not being Nestorian, basically for being too Orthodox. Here, I'm doing too much talking. I'll let Craig do the talking here. Thank you for that super chat, True41C.
If we go with Protestants to the far left, they're in no communion whatsoever, and they don't have holy orders or anything from the Orthodox, and besides maybe Anglicans. And then we have normal, so like Bulgaria and Moscow, all the way to the right. We got to now start situating where exactly the Assyrian Church of the East landed during that era, and I put the Assyrian Church of the East, I'm going to justify why, between the true Orthodox today, which is interesting, and the Meletian schism, like the tangential communion situations or the ecumenical patriarch in Moscow today. So they were somewhere in the middle there. And so if the true Orthodox could arguably still produce saints, and we'll discuss whether that's even true, then certainly Isaac the Syrian is not this Nestorian bishop outside the canonical boundaries of the church in every which way. So we already could see that the Protestants have no holy orders. They're not communion whatsoever. When we move to the Roman Catholics, that's RCC to the top left over there. The Roman Catholic Church are kind of like the Novatians. They're not communion whatsoever. There's no communion arrangements with and jurisdictional arrangements with the Roman Catholics among the Eastern Orthodox.
For now. I hope we have all that talk about reunion between Pope Leo and Patriarch Bartholomew, right? His All Holiness Patriarch Bartholomew. But of course, we shouldn't unite at the cost of truth. So like me personally, I'm excited about the prospect of uniting, but it seems like because only Patriarch Bartholomew is on board, that it seems a bit like a sham, honestly.
But the Roman Catholic Church are like Novatians in that they could be received vested. They don't need to be, the unions don't need to be chrismated. They don't need to be reconsecrated, don't need to be rebaptized. They could be just vested and received in the church, which recognizes something. Now, it doesn't recognize they're in the church. We've had Orthodox say, well, they just have the form of these things, and then we fill it with grace when they enter the church, like Blessed Philaret of New York. But the point is that, like, the Novatians, they're as close as you get not being in the church. All right? They're as close as you get without being in the church. Now you have the Oriental Orthodox, which is a typo. There's 3 O's, so I don't know what the third O would be, but the triple O is the Oriental Orthodox. They are also not in communion with.
I agree, Paul. I don't think reunion is possible, really. And Cleve, that's good. I'll tune into that. That's a good discussion to have, I think. Rome can't drop their dogmas to rejoin the faith. Yeah. I mean, that's what they would have to do to rejoin the faith, and it seems like that's precisely what they're unwilling to do. They would really have to. I don't even think you can bring in the Roman Catholic Church unless the Pope says to bring in the Roman Catholic Church into Holy Orthodoxy. They would either have to totally come into Holy Orthodoxy or just like abandon the entire scholastic period and everything after that. I've covered that information for a long time. Yeah, Cleve is like the news guy over here. Gavin Ortland is calling. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, I wanted to cover the St. Isaac the Syrian thing. Because as soon as I posted it, I knew, like, well, I'll just get back to the video. Gavin is predestined to not respond, but
with the Eastern Orthodox. They do have certain official arrangements with the Eastern Orthodox until fairly recently, with the trading of jurisdictions in Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan, where, depending on which bishop is in town, that parish now belongs to that bishop. And so that shows that there's some actual arrangement between the two churches, but it's not concelebration. And so they would be canonically outside the church, but they're closer than the Roman Catholics because they have no such arrangement. All right, now let's keep going. Then we have the true Orthodox today. There is no true Orthodox body in communion with any church within the World Orthodox Communion of Churches. That wasn't true as recently as 2007, but this is the truth today. That being said, there are Orthodox canonists that do say that they would receive fully with their orders certain Greek Orthodox. I wasn't told which jurisdiction, but I could very well guess. And so that they're treated as they're Orthodox, but they're like an island unto themselves. They're totally broken off, sort of like what.
199 from your mom's lasagna. Thank you, man. Thank you, lasagna. Model is perfect for all the branch theorists. Yeah, it might be. I don't think, I mean, I guess tongue in cheek, right? But I think he's right that there's a bit of like tolerance for certain churches. I guess where that leaves me is like, what is the difference between, the time of Saint Isaac the Syrian and today? Like, would this still be the case today? I don't think so. It seems like the attitude is much different today. I wonder when that shifted. That would probably be something I could research. Yeah. So I would say that, like, of course, this doesn't destroy my point, my main point in that section, which was like, look, you have the mystical body of Christ and you have the institution. The institution is like the corollary to the mystical body of Christ. So you have the normative means to be joined to the mystical body of Christ through the institution, through the sacraments, baptism, confession, generally living a Orthodox Christian life. And then you have extra normative means, which includes like Saint Aglaïus of the 40 Martyrs of Sebast, and then everybody else that has a baptism of desire or a baptism of blood. So the point still stands. It was just like a little error that I think I should have, I felt the need to clean up. The Syrian church is still heavily influenced by the theology of Nestorius. I mean, yeah, especially today. For the Protestant, the church is always big enough to fit their own personal heresy. Fair enough. All right, let's get back to Craig here. I don't want to dilute his... They even venerate him in their liturgical services. Yeah, he's like a saint in their church. So, yeah, it's a big problem. All right, let's get back. We'll have Craig finish his point, and then I'll move on to talking about how every single Protestant is so fiercely trying to pretend that I don't exist.
St. Maximus would be, but seen in a negative light instead of a positive light. So they're kind of like seen as synod and resistance. The World Orthodox, of course, see that synod and resistance as negative. They see it as positive. I'm not here to discuss that question. But that being said, I've spoke to multiple clergymen that said that if there was someone who's true Orthodox, there was a layman that came up for communion, that they would commune him. And if it started happening regularly, that they would seek a blessing from the bishop, or they'd seek clarification from the bishop. And I won't go into how much or how little this occurs, but if any true Orthodox are being communed by a World Orthodox body knowingly, this shows that they're not considered completely out of the church, unlike a Oriental Orthodox where it's done only illicitly, or a Roman Catholic where it's only done illicitly. These things are done by people in good standing, and they're not hiding it. And so this shows that there's something more recognized among the true Orthodox than we would recognize among the Roman Catholics or Oriental Orthodox. But even then, the church St. Isaac was in actually more profound communion than the true Orthodox. And why is this? Because, for one, they didn't have parallel episcopacies. There's parallel episcopacies of the Roman Catholics. There's parallel episcopacies of the Oriental Orthodox. Parallel episcopacies of the true Orthodox. There were not parallel episcopacies with the Assyrian Church of the East and the Chalcedonian.
I think that's an important factor that Craig touched on there, this idea of parallel episcopacies, which is, what you see in Alexandria after the Council of Chalcedon. You see the development of parallel episcopacies, while in the Far East, the Church of the East, they didn't feel the need to create parallel episcopacies. And it seems that, to a certain degree, like Craig says otherwise in this video, that the canonical churches did tolerate those in the Church of the East.
All right. There were not parallel episcopacies. So this communion is already more profound on that basis alone, because for a schism to be consummated, you need these parallel jurisdictions, and that does not exist. The second thing is there's an actual official agreement that's on the books. Maybe it's in disuse or it's in stasis, but it's on the books. It's not officially broken. We don't have that the true Orthodox. We don't have that the Oriental Orthodox. We don't have that the Roman Catholics. The true Orthodox have a 2014 Pan-True Orthodox statement, which very delineates the difference between us and them. And they don't officially have communion with us. And
Cleve is basically making that argument that they were like semi in communion. You either are or you aren't. I mean, I think Craig is onto something with this like spectrum of schism, because, like, for example, between Moscow and Constantinople now, you see that the clergy wouldn't be able to commune, or at the very least, like Patriarch Bartholomew, but the lay people are permitted to commune. Like, if you're a lay person under Patriarch Bartholomew, you can commune in a parish under the Moscow Patriarchate. It's like a weird ecclesial drama, right? So I think he's onto something with this, but I agree that I would tend a little more towards your view, which is like, look, you either accept the council or you don't. And I understand like some economia, and I even today in the Antiochian jurisdictions, there is some economia with that, with like the Melkites, and that's different. They are in communion with the other jurisdictions. Yeah, it's closer to the Meletian schism. Yeah, that, and I think Craig actually mentions that in the video too, that the Moscow Constantinople tension is similar to the Meletian schism. So, in the Meletian schism, things definitely were not in good standing. They wouldn't be normal. And I think Craig is right that the Church of the East situation would be a little stronger than that. I guess this is where there's like maybe a range of permissible opinions. But if you watch Craig's video, he does qualify a lot of the stuff that he says very heavily, because there's such scant sources from that time period. Like, a lot of them are secondhand. So he makes it very clear that, like, hey, we're doing the best with what we got, and there's going to be a bit of speculation here. But I think he did a good job with the scholarship on this one. You can be in a type of semi-communion. We could even see that in the modern church. If the Russia-Constantinople schism widens, well, then it would slowly become more like the Church of the East situation. Partial communion is an oxymoron. I mean, right. I mean, read 1 Corinthians chapter 10 about the Eucharist, right? And 1 Corinthians 1. I think that, our love for each other might be extending some bounds here. But I mean, here's the thing, is that regardless of whether the Church of the East was in communion with Constantinople or the canonical churches or not, I think we can all agree that, like, through the great asceticism of Saint Isaac the Syrian, through many of the canonical bishops and spiritual fathers recognizing his union with the mystical body of Christ, his condemnation by the Church of the East. And we can all agree that Saint Isaac the Syrian was an Orthodox saint. I think that this is a bit of a tangential conversation. Yeah, what are you guys saying here? I like Craig. He's very smart. Yes. I don't agree with him on this if that's his actual argument. Let's get back to the video.
So that shows a complete break while that did not officially exist in the Syrian Church of the East. So this shows that on this schism spectrum, they are actually more in the church than we would see those who are more out there in the schism spectrum. Then we have tangential communion, like in the Malaysian Schism or the Ecumenical Patriarch and Moscow. And all I will add is, for example, in Rokor, Greek Orthodox laity are communed by Rokor and vice versa. The Moscow Patriarchate will commune Greek Orthodox laity and vice versa. So even with that sort of schism, there's not a complete breakdown because the schism's only between ecclesiastics, not between the laity. And the ecclesiastics ordain that. So with the Melkites, the idea would be the Melkites likely had the capacity to go to the Nestorian church and vice versa to commune if that was the only church in town. And so maybe that's not good. That's not my point to defend whether it's good. My point is this shows not a complete breakdown communion that's more akin to what we have now than what exists the true Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, so on and so forth. And then there's fully normal communion, which everyone takes for granted. And they just so, well, if it's not normal, it's a complete schism. And that's inaccurate. Look over there at the schism spectrum. It's honestly spectrum. We all know it. Now we got to go place Isaac honestly in that spectrum. And we don't see him in schism like the people that claim he's completely outside the canonical boundaries of the church.
Yeah, so I think it is a more nuanced situation like Craig was describing here. I don't know if I'd agree with him completely on that, but I do agree with him on the fact that it is a little bit more nuanced. But yeah, I don't know. The thing is, there are such scant sources. There's no place you can go for sure that's like, yeah, the Church of the East was during the time of Saint Isaac the Syrian in, fully good standing, total communion. Like, they were not. It was a tenuous situation. Like, they were not in good standing, but it seems from the sources that Craig Trulia brought up in this video, I have to eat my words a little bit. It seems like they may have been in communion with the Patriarchate of Constantinople. I don't know about the other patriarchates, but I just wanted to qualify that because I do pride my videos on being like accurate and very well sourced. And there was a bit more nuance that, some other folks in the Orthodox space brought to my attention that this might be a little bit more nuanced than I made it out to be. So you guys can trust me. If I make a mistake, we'll have a stream like this and we'll address it. The Council of Ephesus doesn't say I can't like plump, let's say peaches, plump peaches, voice of reason. That's a deep cut, man. You guys that have been around the apologetic scene for at least this year will probably know that, catch that reference. Poor guy. Let's pray for a voice of reason, that he may come to know the true faith. Okay, so that's the Saint Isaac of Syrian situation. Was it a blunder? I don't think so, because it didn't actually materially change the substance of the point that I was making in my video. But I think it was important to clear up there for sure. Next thing. Okay, next thing. Every single Protestant has been running from me in debates, dude. Every single one. What? $50 gifted? Smoky Plain. Dude. Smoky Plain. Dude, you didn't have to do that. Dude, thank you so much. Smoky Plain. What? Wow. Dude, this thing's gonna be going off for a minute. I'm gonna take a break for a second, interact with the chat. W Smokey. Dude, Smokey, you are the GOAT. What can I do to thank you for that? That's incredible, Smokey. You are the... Okay. Smoky Plain 3285. God bless you. God bless your parents. God bless your family. May the Lord and his providence be upon you. Thank you so much, man. That means so much to me. Sheesh. Dude, this is incredible. Wow. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate the support, guys. Those memberships mean so much. For real. Like that makes a really big difference. Dude, this is gonna keep on going. This guy's name is Ruslan Orthodox 444. Dude, welcome Ruslan to the stream. Smokey's tithe to the Alex Church of the Midwest. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but thank you very much, Smokey. That certainly helps a lot, man. Don't forget the super chat. $50 super chat, Eric Alharb. Support. Dude, that's it. Just support, man. This guy, Eric Alharb, thank you. Dude, this is incredible. Wow. You guys are awesome. Dude, thank you so much, guys. I'm shook. I lost where I was at. Yes, $50 dono. So you have Eric Alharb. Eric, God bless you and your family. May the Lord and his providence be over you. And may also seek the blessing of your spiritual father in all that you do. Soar into the moon, brother. I hope so, man. I hope so. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are very, very generous. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Now we just need to get Alex a debate. Yeah. Alex is big time now. I'm getting there, guys. With your support, we can get there. Dude, this is going to keep on going. Wow. Dude, this is so awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I'm still euphoric over that. That's wild. Still going, dude. Jason Gaff, W, yes. Certainly a W, man. Welcome, Jason. Cleave to Antiquity, 199. Spell iCup. I see you. I have to say something now so that nobody clips it. P. You guys will edit it anyway. I see you, P. There you go. You guys send in a super chat. You guys get your clip. Shin Bones Jones. John Jones is a Shin destroyer. Love your content. Thank you for the support. $9.99 from Shin Bones Jones. Thank you. You guys are so generous tonight. Thank you so much. My money donate button is flashing. ADHD impulse is screaming. Save your money, brother. Thank you. We are like in this stream just now. This is incredible. You guys are so awesome. Somebody edit that. Dude, you guys are trying to make my brain explode, dude. Oh my goodness. Clipped. Another $49.99 from Hyper Prior, because Alex has been a huge inspiration for me in going deep in the faith, joining in on the money train. Hyper Prior, God bless you. God bless your family. May his providence be over you and your family. Likewise to you, Orthodox. Can't see the full thing. Orthodox Journey 359, 1999. Thank you, Orthodox Journey 359. You are doing great work. You're doing a great work, brother. Thank you. I'm doing my best. Doing my best. Glad I joined the stream when I did. Brother, I'm going to be here like listening to this member sign or member sound for like the next 20 minutes probably. Dude, thank you guys so much. For real, thank you, thank you. And go and like all your guys' super chats. Contemporary Compendium, $5. I'm a poor, thus my meager contribution. Guys, everything helps. Thank you so much. Contemporary Compendium also has like, he's a pretty good clips channel. So if you guys want to support Contemporary Compendium, you can go check his stuff out. He has like clips on Orthodox Christianity. And I think he has some politics stuff up there too, if you're interested. Salt Shack, thank you for the membership, Salt Shack. You are the man. Dude, another $49.99. Neon Gaming RPG, $49.99. God bless you. God bless your family. May his providence be over you all. Thank you so much, Neon Gaming RPG. You're the man. Thank you for the great videos. Keep them coming. Thank you so much. Like Itch, $2. Thank you. Stock Soren, Brain Explode Fund donation. Dude, my brain is like, brother. I don't know. You guys are melting my brain right now, dude. This is like the dopamine is too much. The dopamine is too much for me to handle. This is incredible, guys. Thank you so much. Monies from Avriel6903. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to take this full time, so like every bit helps, guys. We are getting to that point where I may be able to, I hate to use this word, don't clip me here. I may be able to transition to being a full-time YouTuber here, especially with this kind of generosity. And you know, the channel is slowly growing. We're getting more and more memberships. We're getting more and more ad revenue. And I really appreciate all the support. I would like to get a debate one of these days to hopefully grow our reach a little more, bring more of the heterodox back into the church, because ultimately that's what our mission is out here. So, dude, Neon Gaming RPG. Guys, thank you so much. Ziggy Cook 2384, thank you for the membership. God bless you. Nixie 0489. Nixie gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Nixie. Yes, we're not going to be able to get to any content because this notification keeps on going off. This is the best problem to have. Can you have a discussion with Jordan Cooper on salvation by faith alone? I would love to, but doesn't he have a reputation for not doing debates? Does he do dialogues? I don't know. The way to make that happen is for you guys to go tag him. So I'll talk to Jordan Cooper. He's very charitable. It's all the Orthodox lawyers donating to the Orthodox lawyer. I mean, these are very generous. You guys have fat wallets over here, man. You guys came in like big dog over here. Is big dogging me this stream. No one wants to debate Orthodox anymore. I mean, yeah. You may have a point there, Akathist. Hyper Prior 9.99. Thank you, Hyper Prior. I appreciate that. At this point, just keeping the train going because I don't want to go back to hearing the phrase schism spectrum. Dude, whenever I hear spectrum now, I get triggered because of the gender spectrum. For real. You guys are so generous, dude. Half of chat is going to be a member. Yeah. I mean, at this point, guys, thank you. Alex is transitioning. You guys got me. New catechumen here, still in law school, though. Not quite an EO lawyer yet. Good luck, man. Do your best in law school. Remember that, like, grades are important, but networking is more importanter, arguably. It's very, very important. Stock soar and rising. We're going to the moon, brother. Going to the moon. Get on the rocket. Diamond hands. The odd schism spectrum. Debate Joel Osteen. Dog, I don't think I'd be able to I don't think I'd be able to pay his fee. Even with these super generous super chats. Okay. Okay, let's go on to the super chats. Anemone. Thank you. $10 from Anemone. Alex, proving you can get super chats by being nice to your audience. He's the anti-J. I mean, that's a funny comment. I wouldn't say I'm the anti-J. I think that, like, we have a spectrum of apologists on the EO side that are doing this work, trying to bring the heterodox back into the one true church. And there's a certain degree to where you can just, like, kind of pick the one that fits your sensibilities the most. Like, a lot of people like that really antagonistic, high confrontation type of approach that Jay has, which that worked for me because it's like sometimes you need somebody to like grab you by the collar and be like, guys, your worldview is dumb, like it is bad, it is stupid, you know. But that approach doesn't work for everybody. Some people get really turned off by that approach. So I think it's important that we have like a variety of approaches throughout this online Orthodox Stage. Budget Basin 407. Budget Bass in 407. I've been making the same point about anxiety. Imputed righteousness causes more angst because there's a chance you never really believed in the first place. $5. Yeah, that's exactly the point that I'm making. Keep the train going. Dude, Cleve with $1.99. Thank you, Cleve. Guys, Ben is the man, by the way. You guys know that, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but he encouraged me to be like, you know, Gavin posted something on the exact same issue that you did. Maybe you should reach out to him. And me, I wasn't I wasn't paying attention, but you know, Cleve has he has a lot of good information. He could probably do a stream just on, you know, how to succeed in YouTube. He has after I did my first stream with Cleve, he gave me a bunch of information just on the YouTube side, like how to continue to grow a channel like that. Dude, this is incredible. Fate's Fingers, $5. Thank you. I'm at work and just popped in while on break. Can't wait to see more content later. God bless my new favorite channel. Thank you, Fate's Fingers. God bless you as well. Contemporary Compendium, $5. Jay found out that if he insults his chat by calling them poor, they'll donate to prove they're not poor. So if the well runs dry, you know what to do. but you know, on a more serious note, I guess, like, LOL, that is funny. On a more serious note, I guess it's very important for us to not just be online Orthodox Christians, but we do have to go out and into society and make sure that we are the head and not the tail. You know, not everybody is going to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, whatever. But you know, if you're going to be in the trades, which are just as important as those professions, you know, working on infrastructure, you should try to be, you know, the best tradesmen that you can be. We should be managing these institutions, and you know, through that influence, you know, we can spread Orthodox Christianity even more, showing that you know, we can be loving managers and not like, you know, somebody that's just going to come down hard on anybody all the time. Sleef6, $10. Thank you, Sleef6. Perks of being Orthodox. This is some of my would-be indulgence monies. Thank you. Dude, my chat has like the best sense of humor. Thank you, guys. Dubstep L273, $1.99. Thank you, Dubstep. God bless. God bless you as well. God bless you and your family. Keep going. Dude, Cleve is just like stoking the fire here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Contemporary Compendium, that's what I needed to be shaken up and directly challenged. Yeah, some people need that. That's what some people need. The Schism Spectrum, Shin Bones Jones 11, $4.99. Thank you again for the super chat. The Schism Spectrum is getting my ecclesial anxiety going. Yeah, and it'll do that. Wait, okay, so let's apply the Schism Spectrum to the ecclesial anxiety, though. Like, I don't know, how far away from the true church can you be before you're like definitely not in the true church anymore? Oh, this is important. Okay, David Bradford, 9631, $1.99. Thank you, David Bradford. Pray for my wife. She's considering Orthodoxy. Guys, make a note right now to pray for David Bradford's wife. That can be a tough situation, I know firsthand, especially if you're married beforehand. Because, you know, especially with me and my wife, you know, she didn't sign up to be married to an Orthodox Christian. She signed up to be married to like a evangelical non-denom type. So it hasn't been easy for her. So yeah, let's pray for each other. Pray for everyone in the chat. You know, because marriage is important, and these are the people that we like care and love, care most about and love the most. So pray for David Bradford's wife. That's very important. Cleve seems like a cool guy. Dog, he is so chill. Like, I talked to him, like, remember when I first talked to him, like, in the chat, and then I met him we talked on his stream. That was actually hilarious. He is, like, so cool. He is truly a salt of the earth kind of guy. He's exactly what you see on stream. He's the same person. Cyrus Woolard, 3737, $20. Thank you very much, Cyrus. Thank you so much. Dude, now that my dopamine receptors are sufficiently burnt, shouting out the ortho tradesman, take some of my welder money. Yeah, welding is a very important profession, and it's very hard to do well. It's very important to have welders. So, guys, thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to some content. I've just been reading off super chats and thanking everybody for the memberships. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. If you guys want to share the stream, like and share, boost it in the algo. Let's move on to let's move on. And then I hear the sound again. Guys, thank you so much. $1.99. Bro, you're gonna make me fall back in my chair. This chair can only go back so far, dude. Salt Shack, he didn't even put a comment. He didn't even put a comment, dude. Salt Shack. My hair is like... My dopamine receptors are completely burnt at this point, dude. Salt Shack, thank you very much. I wish you would have put a comment if you want me to say something. Put it in the chat. Say it. Salt Shack, you're the man. God bless you. God bless you and your family. May his providence be over you. Thank you. Glory to God. Look at this. Glory to God. Thank you, guys. Pepper come in and one-up him. Guys, I mean, don't give more than you can give, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. I very much appreciate your generosity. I don't even know how to react to this. I do not even know how to react. Okay, let my dopamine receptors recover from this for a minute here. Let's go to this Gavin Ortland video that he recently posted. And we posted on the same day, dude. Oh, look at where my comment is, huh? Right at the top. Interesting. That's probably because it's my account. Okay, so I have 265 likes here. Now I'm gonna go like my own comment. 266 likes. Hey Gavin, would you be open to having a Protestant Orthodox dialogue on this issue? I find it uncanny that we posted on similar issues on the same day here. Let me know if you're open to a charitable exchange, right? That was very nice. That was very polite, guys. And sometimes we can be dramatic on videos because we're trying to be emphatic and make a point, right? But I think some of Gavin's accusations against Holy Orthodoxy, are indefensible. And those are the ones that I kind of put at the beginning of the video when he said that we are intimidating people into conversion. And then later in that video where he talked about browbeating, he qualified that statement a little more. He said, I don't think they're doing this on purpose, but I think that the effect that they're having is they're browbeating people into conversion. I'm like, dog, which one of us are intimidating and browbeating people into conversion? Like, even Jay, I think when it comes to the one true church stuff, I think he's very gentle when it comes to that doctrine. I don't think that he's browbeating anybody into conversion. Whoa, hold on. What is happening here? More super chats. Guys, thank you so much. That's actually really humbling. I really do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. I started this thing kind of unsure about where it would lead, and I just tried to make better. I just tried to make better and better videos. And look at where it led, guys. Look at that. Like, I'm not a theology bro, like Cleve, or like, like Val. He's actually, getting his MDiv degree. I'm not a philosophy bro like Jay or like Bryce. I just advocate for my position, what I think is true. So I really appreciate that. It truly is humbling. Chase Haggard Music, $4.99. Thank you, Chase Haggard Music. Keep it up, brother. Watch out for the weirdos in this space. They are ample. Yeah, that's true. I think anywhere you go online, you're going to find some weirdos. But the Orthodox Church, we accept weirdos as well. You just can't stay that way. Hopefully through the process of theosis, you get a little more social acuity as well, guys. Nemini, $5. Thank you, Nemini. Alex is quitting his day job tonight. I hope so, guys. I hope so. Thank you so much. This really helps a lot. Really, it's the memberships that are most important. So those gifted memberships they help a lot. Because that's like, I think the most predictable stream of income from this thing are the memberships. So I thank you so much for that. It really is humbling. Eric L. Harb, $2. Thank you, Eric. Is RCC the bigger mission field or Protestants? It's a good question. I think it depends on where you are, because like the online stuff is important, but also getting involved in the real world. And this is something that Cleve is huge on. His traps are also huge. But Cleve talks about this a lot, that you have to get involved in the real world. You have to go meet people. You have to get involved in like Bible studies. Like at my parish, I was talking to my spiritual father. He was like very busy. And that bit, the interviews will be dropping soon, by the way. The interview will be dropping soon, by the way. Because he is, that video, the interview was like 4 hours long. So what I'm going to have to do eventually is like cut it up into chunks. And he's got some great stories. I guess I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. But he, in 2011, was in Jerusalem to retrieve the Holy Fire on behalf of the Romanian Patriarchate. And he goes through like the whole story, and he describes the process of like, you know, how you go to Jerusalem, you obtain the Holy Fire. He talked to the Patriarch of Jerusalem. I think it was Theophil, if I'm remembering correctly. And he goes through that whole process. It's a very, very fascinating story. He has so many stories. He was also like, nobody in his family was ever clergy. He's the first member in his family to like, officially become clergy and to like go to seminary. And in Romania, they have the specialized high schools, right? So seminary in Romania refers to the specialized high school. Faculty refers to going and getting your bachelor's degree, your master's degree. So he talks about how, you know, when he was 13, he didn't really know anything about religion at all. He ended up being one of the priests in the Patriarchal Cathedral in Bucharest. So it was like a really long journey. And I think it's really interesting to see how he went from like really not knowing anything at all to falling in love with the church, falling in love with monasticism, becoming a monk, and then eventually joining the Holy Orthodox Church. Joining the Holy Orthodox Church. Eventually becoming proto-synchelos in the Orthodox Church, which is a pretty high up position. But that has nothing to do with the question. Is the RCC the bigger mission field or Protestants? Both. I think Protestants are a little easier to turn than Roman Catholics, because I think that it's instilled in their identity that they have they need to be in communion with the Pope, with Peter's successor. Like, it's such an ingrained part of their identity, it's really hard for them to drop it. So I'd say we should probably, if we're gonna do our biggest bets, probably Protestants. And I was talking to Christian Mario about this too, is that most people they don't really care about theology. So like, yeah, this stuff helps, but a lot of it is just like giving people the courage of their convictions. Orthodox Journey 359, welcome to Interlocutor. Thank you for the membership. God bless you, Orthodox Journey 359. Glow 9017, $5 Canadian. Any tips for supporting a partner trying to get into law school in Canada? Like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse? This might sound like a little harsh, but it's like, get out of their way. And they're going to need emotional support, because it is an extremely high stress environment. The LSAT is extremely high stress. Law school is extremely high stress. So make sure that if they're feeling down on themselves, that you're there for them. You know, they talk about like attachment theory in children, and you know how like children need to have like literal physical touch with their parents, like they need to attach to somebody emotionally and psychologically. That doesn't change when you become an adult, and there's a lot of research on this within psychology, and I know psychology has a bad rap, but there are some actual good academic papers on this, that adults also still need to have healthy attachments. And when you have like a spouse, you also need to have that healthy attachment. You know, you need to physically touch each other, you need to hug, like you need to talk, and you need to have somebody that you can vent to, right? So I'd say be there for them emotionally, because it is a very, very high stress environment. That's very important. Did I miss any super chats up here? Okay, I think okay, Val Orthodoxia, $10, dude. Thank you, Val. From the OCU shill and Mossad agent jihadi himself. Stay black and Jewish. You heard him, guys. Stay black and Jewish. Val is a cool guy. I enjoyed being on his show. And he has some good content too. He just posted a video, something like 5 top reasons why I'm not Protestant. Shinbones Jones 11,499. Thank you, Shinbones Jones. It's like what, the 3rd or 4th super chat from you, man. Thank you so much. I really just wish Gavin would realize his Calvinism is more judgmental on souls than anathemas. Yeah, it's actually the harshest the harshest view on souls is that Calvinism. Question: what's the Orthodox view on Orthodox Christians making music? Are any genres no good? Metal, rap, rock? I mean, I think all those genres are fine. Like Neil from Dirt Poor Robins, he has all kinds of music. I think all those genres are fine. I think it's really the words that matter. Big super stream. Yeah, this is awesome. You guys have been extremely generous. Very based. Thank you, Cleve. Yeah, Orthodox is... Here's the thing is that you'll see... this... It's not really like a clergy question, but like you see Father Deacon Ananias will like sing folk music on a stream. Like, I don't think there is a range of permissible views on this question. W advice. Thanks, Al. Yeah. No problem, Glow. Okay. This is just going to be a super chat stream. Yes. Okay. Let's get back to the content here. So, what I was talking about here was I have freaking the most liked comment, like by a long shot, not by a little bit, like by a long shot, the most liked comment on this video here. I could probably... zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Ah. There we go. Okay. Most liked comment by a long shot is my comment. And this man doesn't respond. I thought this was very ironic, ironically worded. I was very sensitive to the wording here because I know he is like hesitant if somebody's going to like go full aggro on him. Like, I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm not trying to, you know, pwn him or anything. I just think it's very important for our two paradigms, our two ideas to come face to face and see what happens, right? Because I think we're both good representatives for our views. And like, look, what's the next most liked comment after mine? 266 likes. This one's 139, 114. I have like almost double of the next most liked comment. And he ignores me. And this is starting to be like a theme with all the Protestant apologists. Notifications, dude. Oh my God, my Twitter's going off as well. Okay, hold on. I have a post on my Twitter showing this as well. And now we can add Gavin Ortland to the list. Yeah. Now we can add Gavin Ortland to the list. Radio silence from two of Holy Orthodox biggest slanderers, aka Bible in Context and NeedGod.net. No one take them seriously ever again. This was like very annoying to me because these guys talk so much smack. They're the biggest smack talkers. And now suddenly somebody's like, hey, you're going to talk smack. Let's discuss it on camera. Let's give the viewers, you know, an opportunity to see our two paradigms interact and see what happens. And dude, radio silence. And honestly, that's probably a smart thing to do, because otherwise you have like the Streisand effect where like by responding to me, they're giving me attention and they don't want to do that. But it's inevitable, just at the rate that my channel is growing, that, you know, someday they're going to have to address me. And there's like, pray for me to have more patience in my heart, guys, because there's a little part of me that's like, someday they're probably going to come back and they're going to be like, hey, remember when you offered to do that debate? Like, I'd like to take you up on that now. And part of me is going to be like, you know what? Now that I'm getting more attention than you, now let's not do it. Because I know people were telling me that like Need God, Ryan from Need God, that lady from Need God is a clout chaser. And it just, I really didn't want to believe it. You know, I try to assume the best in people, but it does seem to be the case. Because I also sent him a DM. And he did not. I'm going to repost this. I also sent him a DM and he saw it and he didn't respond. He did not respond, and that hurt my feelings a little bit, to be honest. Oh, and then Bible in context. Dude, this guy talks so much smack. So much smack. Catholics and Orthodox groups run out of intellectual and scriptural rebuttals that they only resort to name-calling and character attacks. And like, look, is this like threatening? Is this anything less than irenic? Like, let's debate sola scriptura. Good faith debate. No name-calling or character attacks. Radio silence from Bible in Context, radio silence from needgod.net, radio silence from Gavin Ortland. And I get like Gavin Ortland is a bigger channel, fine. Like maybe it's not worth it for him to actually engage in a debate with me. But I mean, the people want to see it, man. The people want to see it. The people want to see it. So all the Protestants run away from me. They pretend that I don't exist. And it hurts my feelings a little bit. And we got another super chat here. Wayward Frequency, $5. Thank you, Wayward Frequency. Okay. What else? Like the stream. Yes, guys. Please. Like the stream. I also pray Bartholomew converts to Orthodoxy too. We should pray for Patriarch Bartholomew, indeed. Yes, we should pray for all of our patriarchs, and especially Patriarch Bartholomew. Weeb Gamer, to be fair, Gavin Ortland is not really a debater. He has not debated in years. Yeah, I mean, didn't he debate? He debated Gavin Ortland on Transfigured Life. Stephen DeYoung, I'm sorry. Gavin Ortland debated Stephen DeYoung on Transfigured Life. I don't know, was that very long ago? It seems like yesterday when that debate happened. And then he turned it into a debate on icons and the Nicaea too. Do a response to Rock on his response to Rock and Sand. A reply to his response. Dog, I would, but then I saw that those were like 2-hour-long videos, and I was like, is like the time put in, is the opportunity cost there? Like, I don't know if the opportunity cost is there for that. Have you reached out to Wes Huff? Dog, that guy's dodging Jay. He's dodging debates left and right at this point. Of course, yes, obviously I would debate Wes Huff, just like, because he has such a large platform, and like, whatever. But I don't think he would, because my platform is so much smaller than his. I don't know if it's worth his time to debate me, but yeah, of course I will debate Wes Huff. Yes, gladly. Debate Taco Talks. Dude, I'm trying to debate adults, man, not children. Like, I look at that guy and I see a child, man. Like, no offense to him, but like, I don't know, his pupils are the size of like freaking apples, dude. Like, the pupils are the size of his head. Billions must pray for RC. Oh, whoa, super chats. Shinbones Jones 11, $4.99. Dude, thank you so much, Shinbones. Need God is really bad faith. I've seen it too many times with how he cuts people off and won't address the issues and just say he did and just asserts. Yeah, well, that's why I would like a formal setting, because I'm not going to let him get away with that. I've like, people don't understand litigation, man. Like I have, I'm not saying like I'm a big shot or whatever, and I have so much debate experience, although I do. But like, I've cross-examined cops. I've gotten cops to say that they don't even know what an accident is, dude. I've cross-examined doctors. Like, I'm not intimidated by these people. I'm not afraid of these people, because I know how to prepare for these kinds of things. You master the facts, and you master the principles that you can gather from the facts. I think that people probably have a hesitancy because, like, my angle, I kind of, to get some momentum online, my angle was like the Orthodox lawyer or whatever, and now they know me as a lawyer, and they're like, dude, why would I debate a lawyer? Like, so it was like, it's kind of good to get some momentum, but then it kind of, I think maybe it's biting me in the butt a little bit. Dude, you should debate Miles from like Canon and Creed. I would debate Canon and Creed. He's basically Catholic anyway. Oh yeah, but Shimbone Jones, your super chat. I am not afraid of people that are bad faith. I know how to handle people that are bad faith. I've dealt with people that are much more bad faith than need God before, and you just don't let them big dog you. And you do that by by making fun of them. Joel Osteen said, if I give you this money, I will get 100,000 times back in fold. $4.99. John Mondragon 6730. Well, let's hope Joel Osteen is right. I don't think that that's like a set principle, but you know, maybe even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? Let us know if it works out. I cannot put my stamp of approval on Joel Osteen's message here. But like it, $5. Both Gavin and Need God use evangelical breathy voice when talking. To know if it's on purpose, but it's very emotionally manipulative. Guys, trust me. All that matters is your trust and faith in God. Like, okay, so let's just assert Sola Fide is the only thing that matters, dude. Like, come on. Like, guys, all you need is Sola Fide. Trust me. Like, okay, well, now we're going to shift the goalpost from, like, you don't need the church, just Sola Fide. You see how, like, these worldviews are, like, all dependent on each other? You're going to, like, talk about the one church. They're going to quote Mark 9, which was, like, from even before the church, which there's a commenter on my video. Yeah, I forgot his name. But he made a great point. He said, Christ said that that guy is for them, right? He was not against us, is for us. So he said that the guy that was not a part of the disciples that was casting out demons was for the disciples. So if we look at like the Protestants, they so are they against us? Maybe, maybe not. It seems like Gavin is against us because he's saying like we're intimidating, but let's just say for the sake of argument that they are not against us. Are they for us? They are not for us. I thought that was a really good point that that commenter made on my video. Because it's like, not only is it just like not applicable when you look at the facts, there's just like too many differentiators that make it not applicable. Clip it. JVS Gamer, welcome, man. You've been here for a while. You've been showing up for my streams. Yeah, evangelical breathy voice. I do think it is a little bit emotionally manipulative because it's like all of a sudden he's like, just trust in Jesus. Just believe, and he won't let you go to hell. It's like, meanwhile, the scriptures say, many will say, Lord, Lord, did we not cast out demons in your name? You say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. And I think Christian Mario is really good at making this point where he says that, like, look, now we have a category of people that think they are saved, but they're not. They think they are, but they're not. So what does that say about, like, assurance, right? There's a big problem there. Everybody's argument is being nice and you are mean. That won't last for long. The lawyer title is intimidating, Alex. Yeah, perhaps, maybe. Maybe I like use that too much. Kirk's bulletproof t-shirt. Thanks for showing up in the chat, man. I'm against you. I'm not for works-based salvation. We don't think works save you. There's nothing you can do to merit your salvation, but works are required because if you don't have works, you don't have faith. The works are like, if you have a campfire, right? You need logs to start the fire, and then there's a synergy between, you know, the logs, the energy you're putting into the fire, and the fire itself. So you talk about the faith like the fire, the works are the logs that you put underneath the fire, and then they kind of feed each other. It's not a perfect example, but they are feeding one another. So not works-based, it's works-adjacent, faith plus work. Yeah, you need faith and works. It's very clear. Like, And Matthew 25, I think, is a good passage on this. Let me pull that up for you guys. We'll talk about faith and works a little bit, I guess. Now that my dopamine receptors are sufficiently fried. Matthew 25 is like two back-to-back parables here. I think both are instructive on this point, that you need to have works. So I'll move myself over here so you guys can see the text a little better. Okay, so the parable of the talents, I think, is one that I like to go to. So it's like, the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. So each of the servants gets a gift from God. They're all different according to their own ability. He who had received the 5 talents went and traded them. He made another 5 talents. So the master got a return from the servant. Okay. And these are all the master's servants. Okay. It's not like there's a stranger. Okay. These are all the master's servants. The servant with the 5 talents went doubled. He made a return for his master. Likewise, he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. Is my mic too loud, by the way? No, okay. I'm like checking the levels because it's like a different position now. Okay, so he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you have delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I've gained 5 more talents beside them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Okay, so the servant generated a return for the master. Okay, so there's a bug on this stand. The servant generated a return for the master, right? He who had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more. So he also generated a return. Okay. Now look at this. He who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid. I went and I hid your talents in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. So the Lord gave him 1 talent. The servant brought back 1 talent. It's exactly what he gave to him. Lord gave it back. He generated no return. 0 return. Okay. The Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I would have received at least back my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. So look, it doesn't matter how much you're given. You have an obligation to generate a return. You have an obligation to generate a return. If not, let's keep reading, see what happens to the servant who generated no return for the master. To everyone who has more will be given, he will have abundance, but from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. What happens to the servant? This is a servant, not a stranger. The servant who generates no return for the master. He's cast into outer darkness, dog. Into the shadow realm. Into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, right? So there's your first very obvious exhortation that your works matter. If you don't have works, you're cast into what? What happens if you have no return on the gifts that the master gave to you? You're cast into outer darkness, the shadow realm. And the next part of chapter 25 is instructive on the Sola Fide issue as well, right? And this is just, dude, this is one chapter from the New Testament, right? And this is why it's like so important to take the Bible as a whole. You can't take one verse and build your theology around one verse, right? This very famous passage says, the righteous will answer him saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison? And the king will answer and say to them, assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to me, inasmuch as you did it to one of these, least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Okay, and then he says the same thing to those on his left. Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, you gave me no food. I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, you did not take me in. Naked, you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, you did not visit me. And what happens to the people that didn't do these things, that didn't feed the hungry, that didn't clothe the naked, that didn't give drink to the thirsty? What happens to them, guys? What happens to them? They will go away into everlasting punishment. Everlasting punishment, i.e., eternal torment. So Sola Fide is a very dangerous teaching. Very, very dangerous teaching. What is your favorite hymn during the liturgy? Mine is the Trisagion. Yeah, I keep on clicking and covering up the super chat. It just makes me think of the power of God. Sorry, I know this is off topic. I mean, that's fine. In our liturgy, we sing, I think it's Psalm 17 before communion. Masoretic text, I think it's Psalm 18. I have to look it up in Romanian. No. And actually, I'll see if I can look it up. Dude, when I heard my spiritual father sing this, it was I was like transported to another world, man. See if this is it. Give me a moment, guys. Oh yeah, right here. Right here. Check it out. And then right after this, they go, the doors, the doors. That's, it's that part of the liturgy. I forgot what psalm this is, man. Let me try to find it. That's really bugging me now. Yeah, Psalm 17 in the Orthodox Bible. Let me actually pull it up to give you guys the translation in English. It's like my strong tower or something. You guys probably already have it in the comments. I will love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my foundation, my refuge, my deliverer. My God is my helper. On him I will hope, my champion, the horn of my salvation, and my protector. It's literally just the first two verses of Psalm 17. And dog, I don't know why, but it gets me in the feels every single time, man. Every single time it gets me in the feels. Alex, have you seen the video of the African church eating grass? It's worth watching. Big fan of your vids. Cool dude, 5678, $5. Unfortunately, I am familiar with this video because of Ben from Cleave to Antiquity. When I was streaming with Christian Mario, he got the chat to start spamming us with the with the African church eating grass. Dog, I was shook. I had no words to explain this. Absolutely no words. As a Westerner, I didn't even know this kind of singing existed. Yeah. I think I had a huge privilege to to grow up in Romanian cultures, even in the Pentecostal community. That style of singing that's almost like crying is very, very popular. Are we talking about blessing the ice ball? The environmental ice ball? Blessed ice isn't bad in itself. Doing it for atheist global power brokers to publicly promote their agenda is bad. I think that was the general consensus around that. Wait, hold on. Where did the Sola Fide guy go? Wasn't there a Sola Fide guy in the chat that I was responding to? Where's Kirk's Bulletproof? Yeah, Kirk, are you still in here? Kirk's Bulletproof? Going to a message to the Jews living before Christ's death? I mean, you have the exact same thing after Christ's death too. All right, I mean, I'll play your game. Although, you think that things changed so much? No, you have a fulfillment. You have a fulfillment of everything in the Old Testament. It's not over and done with. You have the exact same thing in Paul's epistles, dog. This is Paul. This is a guy that you think helps you, okay? It's 1 Thessalonians 4. This is the will of God, your sanctification. Okay, what is the will of God? Your sanctification. Keep this in mind. That you should abstain from sexual immorality, that each of you should know how to possess his own vessel in sanctification and honor, and not in passion of lust, like the Gentiles who do not know God. No one should take advantage of and defraud his brother, because the Lord is the avenger of all such, as we also forewarned you and testified. God did not call us to uncleanness, but in holiness. Therefore, he who rejects this, rejects what? Rejects what? What's the object that this is referring to? He who rejects this, your sanctification, he who rejects sanctification does not reject man but God, who has given us his Holy Spirit. So what happens if you reject sanctification? You reject God. I'm sorry. And there's so many verses on this issue. People, like Protestants, like to make this big distinction between justification, sanctification, glorification. Dog, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing, my man. You cannot have justification and reject sanctification. You reject sanctification, you reject God. That's why you should come to the Orthodox side, because we believe the Bible and not just certain verses. We believe the whole thing. Hebrews 10 is another huge one on this issue. This that you can fall away through your works. By your works, you can disqualify yourself from salvation. So here we have Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. If we sin willfully after we have received knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful expectation of judgment and fiery indignation, which will devour the adversaries. Here's another one. Citations are just at the top of my head right now. Like, Sola Fide is such an indefensible doctrine biblically, right? Here's Paul, again, in Titus chapter 1. Titus 1. He's talking about the bad guys in Crete. He says, they profess to know God, but in works they deny him. Wait, hold on a second. You disqualify yourself by your works. This is Paul talking. This is not Alex Soren. This is Paul. They profess to know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable, disobedient, and disqualified for every good work. This is the Bible, man. I'm not making this up. Got another super chat here. Thanks, guys. Smokey Plane 3285. Thanks, Smokey. You considered collaborating with Orthodox Kyle or Testify Apologetics. Also, your lawyer's perspective is unique and valuable. Keep using it. Thank you. I do think I have a unique angle that's different from the theology bros or the philosophy bros. We do try to, litigators, we try to ground our arguments in simplicity and in common sense, right? You can make a technical argument, but that's not going to persuade people, right? It's like theology bros and philosophy bros, generally they're academics and they're trying to persuade other academics, right? Other very highly intelligent people. But lawyers are trying to persuade normal people, lay people, juries, right? I mean, sometimes most of the time we're trying to persuade a judge. But, we always have in mind that, like, dude, the judge has a big docket. He's not going to know the intricacies of every fact in your case. You have to dumb it down for everybody. So I think we do have a unique angle. Testify apologetics, I think he does excellent work. He's not Orthodox, but I like his work a lot, especially his stuff on undesigned coincidences. I think that's excellent apologetics. I would love to collab with Orthodox Kyle. I think he's a cool guy. And he debated Need God. Freaking Need God is going to debate Orthodox Kyle and not me. I know Orthodox Kyle's channel is way bigger than mine. But yeah, Orthodox Kyle, he's cool as heck, man. He gave me a shout out really early on. So I try to not forget that stuff. That's really nice of him. It was like Cassian King from Barrel Aged Faith, Jay, Orthodox Kyle, obviously Cleve, Ben, Transfigured Life, Justin Menard, and those guys really early on were like, you're doing great work, keep it up. And they encouraged me really early on. The mean ortho bros encouraged me really early on. Cool. Testify is a nice dude. He does do collabs a lot, but he's Pentecostal. He may not do a collab. No, dude. I'm like disqualifying myself from all this interaction. I didn't even know. I'm like pushing the lawyer stuff and now nobody wants to debate me. I just did last week or 2 weeks ago, I did like 3 streams, 3 guest appearances in 1 week. I did Jay on Monday, Christian Mario on Wednesday, and then Val on Friday. And in every single one, I talked about how Pentecostals are bad, man. I mean, they're not bad. They're okay. I'm gonna pull a Trump here. I assume many of them are good people, but the doctrine is bad. So I went on railing about their doctrine, how their doctrine is so bad. Turns out, Testify, who's like a guy that I respect a lot for his work, turns out he's Pentecostal. I've been kind of pooing on his parade a bit here. Barrel Aged Faith is chef's kiss. Yeah, I think he doesn't get enough attention. I think his content is very dense with value. Not dense as in hard to understand, but it's dense with value. I think especially when it comes to Catholicism, I think Jay gets a lot of attention because Jay was Protestant, he was Reformed, he was Baptist, he was Presbyterian, and then he was Roman Catholic, now Orthodox, so he understands each position really well because he had to defend each of those positions. Cassian has a similar story, man. Cassian was Protestant, he was Roman Catholic, now he's Orthodox, and he had to defend each of those positions. I think, again, because he's not as aggressive, I think a lot of his stuff gets overlooked. But he has excellent material. We should not be sleeping on Barrel Aged Faith on Cassian King. What happened to all the prots in the chat? Hello, if you're still here. I mean, they heard me reading the Bible and they left. That's why when you argue with most people, it's easy to just bring up very nefarious and demonic acts people do and ask, why is anything right or wrong in your worldview? Most people are morally relativistic. Yeah, I think your average atheist doesn't realize that. I think a lot of people are atheists just to be edgy and to rebel against their parents. Not all atheists, obviously. Some of them, I think it is fundamentally a heart issue, like Jay says. But wonderful stream. Thank you, Templar316. Thanks. You guys make it a wonderful stream. Thank you. I saw eCcLeSiAL and my gaydar went off. Bruh. All the goated ortho bros are Midwesterners. There is a stronghold for Orthodoxy in the Midwest, and in Florida. I think Tennessee, Michigan. Cassian is in the Midwest. Yeah. Val, I think, is over on the West Coast. But yeah, there's a huge stronghold in the Midwest. Sleef6, $10. Thank you, Sleef. Jay got me into the Orthodox Church. He is an absolute blessing. He is. And he's getting nicer with time. Big place and heart for Jay. Barrel aged is excellent as well. Yeah, I think Jay probably felt a little bit alone. I think I heard on a podcast, some interview that he was giving, he said it never really entered his mind that he was going to be this like spokesperson for Orthodoxy Online, although he did become a spokesperson for Orthodoxy Online. I think he said that that kind of thing is more suitable for clerics, for clergy. And I think he's right. So in a way, I feel like sympathetic towards Jay because everybody kind of backed him up and he had this like huge following behind him when like his thing is more like philosophy and politics. And it's like he kind of stumbled into, at least the way he makes it sound is that he's kind of stumbled into Orthodox apologetics. But yeah, he's an absolute treasure. He might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the work that he does is like super, super important. Kirk's bulletproof. I'm not interested in giving him money to preach orthodoxy. What's your worldview, Kirk? Do you want to call in? Is he just going to pretend like I ran away? No, dog. I didn't. Yeah, this chat is bumping, dog. I can't keep track of everything. Okay, we have a question from Honk. Me. Hey, I've heard people saying stuff in the Eastern tradition that certain saints have saved them. What sense is that true? Currently inquiring. This is a genuine question, not meant to be rude. But unless, I'm not going to try to assume that you're being rude. I think you're polite enough in that question. We mean that in a secondary sense. So let me show you in the Bible, which tells us that you're allowed to use this language. Let me see if I can remember the citation. Give me a minute here, guys. Bear with me. Here's why it's okay to use this language. Okay. Here's why it's okay to use that language. Because in 1 Corinthians 9, St. Paul uses the exact same language. To those who are without law, as without law, that I might win those who are without law. To the weak I became as weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Hey, technically, is St. Paul saving anybody? No. Technically, he's not saving anybody. But he, as a secondary cause, as an agent of God, he saves people. Really, it's God saving people. But you can say that through a secondary cause, St. Paul saved somebody, because the Bible says it's okay to talk that way. There's another verse on this as well. I'll show you right here. So that's 1 Corinthians 9. James 5 also has the same thing. If you go to James 5, if Kirk wants to call in a debate, I'll start a Twitter space. Hey, James 5. Brethren, if anyone among you wanders from the truth and someone turns him back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his way will save a soul from death and cover a multitude of sins. Huh. Interesting. If someone turns someone back, someone who wanders away, if you turn them back to the church, to the truth, then you save their soul from death. So that's why it's okay to use this language. Every time we use that language, we mean it as a secondary cause. Obviously, God saves you. Obviously, the Holy Spirit is like what's doing the work in you. And ultimately, it's God's mercy. That's why we're saved, right? That's why during the liturgy, we say, Lord, have mercy about 1.5 billion times. Because ultimately, it's God's grace. Without God's grace and mercy, nobody would be saved at all. So it's okay to use that language because the Bible uses that language. So I hope that answers your question. Kirk, where's Kirk? I keep trying to tag you in my messages. Dog, the chat is bumping. I can't keep up with all your messages, man. Glory to God, the chat is bumping. Thank you, guys. I don't have any privacy in my home, and I can't move out, as my disabled mother and disabled grandmother depend on me being here. That sounds like a very tough situation, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Guys, pray for Kirk, for his disabled mother and disabled grandmother. And don't ask for his consent before you pray for him. Just go ahead and pray for him. Kirk, are you lame? Instant sorry about your mom, but really? Yeah, I mean, come on. I don't do VC or phone calls in the house, except, come on. I can't interact with, like, I can't interact with only you, dog, in the chat. Like, let's be serious here. In Philippians, Paul thanks the church for saving him through their prayers and the work of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Theos thinker. Yeah, exactly. Honk me. Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. When I heard it at first, it slightly put me off, but thanks. Yeah, dude, the thing is, because we were, I don't know about you, but I was raised Protestant, and we still have like these Protestant ears. And, you know, when we hear prayers to the Theotokos that are like, you know, Holy Theotokos, save us, or like, Holy Theotokos, forgive us, right? Like, why are you praying to Mary to forgive you? Shouldn't you be praying to Jesus to forgive you of your sins? Well, you have to consider that in an Orthodox view, right? So in the same way you ask any member of the church here for forgiveness, look, the Theotokos, the Holy Theotokos, the Mother of God, the most high-ranking member on the Divine Council, is interceding for us, interceding for you and me. And then we go and mess up. Like, what? It's in a way like, spitting on her intercessions. God forbid. But, you know, just to use an analogy here. So you have to keep in mind that, like, this language has a certain context. Right? You can't put, it's hard to shake those Protestant ears once you have them. I get it. You just have to remember that there's a certain context for each of them. Yeah, she is the Queen of Heaven. Indeed, she is. This is my first live chat. Hello, welcome, Joe Mac. Jay has a video about Mary and why she's regarded as ever virgin and the Queen of Heaven. Well, Saint Jerome also wrote a letter to Helvidius on why she's ever virgin, and basically addresses all of the Protestant polemics about the ever virgin thing. He addresses that literally in the year, like in the late 300s or whatever, early 400s, whatever it was, with Saint Jerome. So yeah, these are old arguments. I've been rereading Saint Athanasius on the Incarnation because I just try to do that every year around Christmas time because the Incarnation is so important, and that's when we celebrate the Incarnation. And at the beginning of On the Incarnation, St. Athanasius makes some points towards, you know, the Epicureans, who are like kind of empiricists, who they say that the universe is eternal. And then he talks about the Platonists that say that like matter is eternal. It's like, man, we see like the exact same arguments even 1700 years later. I usually don't try debating with Orthodox Christians because it always deteriorates. How you put the quote around Christians, man? I would call you a Christian. It always deteriorates into being unfairly insulted based on assumptions. Name called. Have I name called you, dog? Dude, this is literally... Okay, can you guys please look at this from my shoes, right? I have Bible in Context who complains about name calling. He won't talk to me. Need God. I think at some point he was like talking about how like Jay won't accept his prompt or something. And, like he won't talk to him. I offer to talk to him, an Orthodox Christian. He's like, ignores me. Gavin Ortland, I say, hey, let's have a charitable Irenic exchange. Now I have Kirk Bulletproof t-shirt in the chat. God bless him, but he's saying the same thing, man. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with these guys. Saint Athanasius on the Incarnation gets better every time I read it. Yeah. That's the thing, is that you can't read these church fathers once. You have to read them many times. And you should. That develops the Phronema. Of the fathers in your mind, to have the Phronema of the church. Yo, Alex, are you going to be taking Collins this stream? Protestant here inquiring into Orthodoxy. If I start a Twitter space, will you join, Boolean? I'll start it right now, dog. Just confirm in the chat that you'll call in. I'll start it. Are you still debating Yasi? Oh, I should address this. Because of the holidays, I will be debating Yasi on January 2nd. We are locked in for January 2nd. It was originally December 19th. However, my wife had a week off, and then our in-laws wanted to go on a vacation. So I'm going to be, unfortunately, some external factors. It was from my end. It was not from Elijah Yassi's end. So don't go over there and tell him like, oh, he's running or he chickened out. It was from my end. So if anything, make fun of me or whatever. But it's going to happen no matter what on January 2nd. I'm going to be debating Elijah Yassi on is the Vatican I papacy true? It is not. It is founded on fraud. It is based on fraud. The Roman Catholic Church is a criminal syndicate. It's based on fraud. It's a political entity, a political organization. People don't know that like they were a government. They had a standing army. They had the papal states for like a billion. They had the papal states for hundreds of years. They break every single ancient canon about not crossing the government and clerical offices. And a lot of the Vatican I stuff is based on the donation of Constantine. It's based on fraud. It's a criminal organization. All right, bet. I'll start it right now, Boolean. Dude, I forgot my phone is glitched. I'll try to do it on my desktop. I had to update my phone. Prots call in for a Q&A and debate. That's what I'll title it. Start now. Is this you? Aaron Giddens? Boolean, when you join the thing, ask request to speak. And use this mic. I'm running. Yeah, I'm going to use this mic for the stream. I'm going to use this mic for the X space. Hopefully it works. Because last time I tried to do this, it got kind of glitched. Boolean. Okay. I'm going to invite you, Boolean. Yeah, Boolean. Call in. I'm here waiting in the space. You guys can see. Wow. Great banner. Instantly demonetized. Instantly demonetized. Boolean. X Spaces is smelly. I'm vibing with the full headset, dog. I feel like Matt Slick. I feel like Matt Slick with the full headset, dude. Oh my goodness. Paul Lee, what's up, Paul Lee? Thanks for joining the X Spaces. I'm looking for Boolean. Boolean, you said you were gonna join, man. My Twitter is in the description, man. It's in the description of this video. It's the first link in the description. He's never taking another call-in. Bro, that banner is gonna have me forever demonetized, I promise. Boolean.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hold up. It's kind of
Oh, sorry about that. For some reason, I could only hear you on YouTube. I couldn't hear you on Twitter, but
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right, bet.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hold on, I got a super chat. True 41C 499. Thank you. Can you guys hear Boolean also? Boolean, say something.
Test. Can you hear
Can
me?
you guys hear? Yeah, can you guys hear Boolean? Hey, True 41C 499. Hopefully it's Need God on his burner account. W Boolean. Okay, I think they can hear you. All right, what's good, man? So you're a Protestant?
Yeah. So I don't know how much context you want, but yeah, Protestant inquiring into Orthodoxy. Grew up, I got saved, became a Christian in like the Calvary Chapel world. And then slowly got more into like Reformed theology. So currently going to like a Reformed Baptist church. Yeah, but a lot of things as I'm learning more and more about Orthodoxy, I'm finding really interesting. So I just wanted to call in and learn a bit. I wrote down a couple questions. I was just curious. So forgive me if these are like dumb or new or whatever, but this language of we are offering Christ in the Eucharist is like totally new for me. It doesn't really make sense to me. You know, you come from the Protestant world, so I'm sure you're familiar with like Christ offering himself on the cross. And I don't really understand like what does it mean we are offering Christ in the Eucharist? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. It's just like I feel like I'm just like missing some categories or something.
Well, I think an important aspect to that is that in the Old Testament, you have a form of atonement through sacrificing animals. And that's like a temporary sacrifice, a temporary covering for your sins. In the New Testament, we have an eternal sacrifice through Christ in the Eucharist. And this is linked together with the Passover and a lot of passages from John that talk about Christ as like the lamb who took away the sins of the world, right? And he's referring to Christ as the Passover lamb. And important aspect of the Passover lamb is the meal after. For like when they were in Egypt, the Israelites, the entire ritual for the Passover was not complete when they slaughtered the lamb and they covered the doorpost with blood. They had to also eat the lamb, right? So in that same sense, Christ is an eternal sacrifice for us in the Eucharist, where in Hebrews it says that it's not the blood of bull and goats. And even in the Psalms, I think Paul is quoting the Psalms there. It says it's not the blood of bulls and goats that appeases God, but we have an eternal sacrifice through his son. There's actually a really good book on this. It's written by a Roman Catholic guy, so I would say to take it with a grain of salt, but it's called Jesus and the Jewish Roots of the Eucharist. So he's an eternal sacrifice that we represent to God every time we have the liturgy. We partake in the sacrifice by eating it. This is a mystical thing in Eastern Orthodoxy. So in Roman Catholicism, they will try to, you know, narrow down every single aspect of the mechanism by which this happens. But in Eastern Orthodoxy, we take the word sacrament seriously. It translates as mystery. So what are the means by which the bread and wine become, you know, the body and blood of Christ? We don't know. It's a mystery. So the mechanism is through apostolic succession, through the Holy Spirit. And when we look at it, we see that it's got the appearance of bread and wine, but the significance placed upon it through the consecration, through the liturgy, gives it the value of the body and blood of Christ. And it is truly the body and blood of Christ. And we partake in that sacrifice every time we offer up the Eucharist. I hope that helps, man. It is a mystical part of the theology.
Yeah, that helps. I think what's tripping me up is is like the verbiage we are offering Christ in the Eucharist. I don't like when I think about the Old Testament sacrifices, the priest is literally the one killing the animal, or you are bringing your own animal to the priest
Yeah,
as
and
an
he does that on
offering.
behalf of the people. So in the same way, the priest, our priest under the Melchizedekian priesthood, he offers the sacrifice on behalf of all the people there.
Right, but um, again, forgive me,
Sure,
like
brother, go ahead.
Christ, it just, I guess what's not clicking is like the priest obviously isn't the one who killed Christ, right? Like Christ died on the cross, and so I don't understand how we are offering Christ. Does that make sense? Like this, it's not like clicking for me.
Oh, we have a line in the Eucharist that says, your own of your own, we offer to you for all and from all, like, on behalf of all and from all. So it's like God made creation. He made us the small L lords over creation. And from that creation, we offer him meager bread and wine, right? But from what he gave to us, we give it back to him. And through the Holy Spirit, there's a mystical transformation there that gives it the equivalent. So I guess what you're talking about is like, is there a re-killing of Christ? Is that what you're hung up on?
I guess it's just the hang up is like us, the step from the Old Testament priest, doing the killing himself and offering it up, as opposed to Christ, like we're not killing Christ and offering it to God, like Christ gave himself. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
one eternal
a like
sacrifice.
right. I mean, I guess it helps when you put it into context of God is the giver of all things, and so even in the like in all sacrifices, we're just giving back to God what is His, and so I guess that helps. I don't know if I can put into words the confusion, but that is maybe I just have to like listen and read to more things for it to
I think this
click.
Brant Peter book, Jesus and the Jewish Roots of the Eucharist, I think this is a useful book. Again, he's a Roman Catholic, so I'd say take him with a grain of salt. But it is a book that
Yeah.
helped me in this respect. Also, an Orthodox resource would be The Religion of the Apostles by Stephen DeYoung. His section
Okay.
on the atonement in that book, that really changed my perspective on it. He starts in the Old Testament and goes all the way through to the New Testament, and he connects Christ's atonement with a lot of the Old Testament sacrifices.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wrote that down. I had a couple other questions. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
want
sorry,
to take up
real
all
quick,
your time or anything.
Ephraim96 in the chat made a good point here. He said that it's also Christ's priesthood that the priest participates in also. So yeah, the priest is not the Levitical priest. He's under the priesthood of Melchizedek. It's a mirror of the liturgy in heaven that we see in Revelation, right? So in Hebrews, it talks about Christ as the high priest, making intercession and mediating for us. And the Melchizedekian priest that we have in the liturgy is a mirror, a symbol, symbolizing the high priesthood of Christ as well. So I don't know if that adds another dimension to help you understand that doctrine a little better. But yeah, Brant Peter's book on Jesus and the Jewish Roots of the Eucharist, and Father Stephen DeYoung, I couldn't recommend his book Religion of the Apostles more.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wrote that down. I'll check it out. I like I said, I have a couple other questions too. But
Sure,
I don't want to take up all your time, so it's
go ahead.
if you're willing. Um, so I have two other questions. We can go through both, or you can choose whichever is more interesting to you. The first is just getting clarity on the differences in how Orthodox view the atonement as opposed to Protestants. I've listened to like a couple videos and brief explanations. Again, it's not really clicking to me on the differences. And then the other one, and yeah, maybe you can pick one or both or whatever, is I think the thing that really got me interested into Orthodoxy is I started listening to debates on Sola Scriptura, and I mean, whether it's a Protestant versus a Catholic or a Protestant versus an Orthodox, like I do think Sola Scriptura is like insanely weak. I don't really, I don't really see how it's defensible at this point. So I'm kind of wondering, like,
Good. I know I'm
if you
talking to a
don't,
reasonable man here.
yeah, I appreciate it.
It's an
Yeah,
untenable
so
doctrine. That's correct.
yeah, so my question is, if you're, you know, I've been a Christian for over a decade, maybe like 12, 13 years at this point, who's, you know, kind of firmly believed in Sola Scriptura, and especially as I got more into Reformed theology, more and more embracing it, and then blah, 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 blah. And so the question is, if you leave that behind, like, it's easy as a Protestant to be like, is this in the Bible? Is this in the Bible? You know, like it makes life like pretty black and white, and pretty easy to navigate. Of course, you know, I understand when you get into the nuances, you have the whole like right to private interpretation, which is problematic. But like, if you're not aware of that, you know, you're just trying to faithfully live life according to the Bible. But if your authority is more than just scripture, right? If you start to embrace tradition, or which to me tradition still seems like really vague and abstract. I don't quite understand it. I'm just wondering, like, how do you kind of live your life as a Christian when you don't hold to sola scriptura, and like what are the other things that kind of inform how you operate in this world, if that makes sense. So, sorry, those are two questions. Maybe you can pick whatever is more interesting to you, or answer both. Um,
Well, I mean, for us,
yeah.
living a Christian life is more than just a theological proposition. It's like participating in the sacrament and union with the mystical body of Christ that is the church, right? So that's going to confession, you know, keeping the fasting days, keeping the feast days, of course, and participating in the worship to God in the divine liturgy. So it's a continual process in a transformation through tangible, concrete means. I get how you think that, like, at least at first glance, tradition seems abstract. It's actually not. The Orthodox view of living a Christian life is very concrete. You go to confession, you talk about the sins that you're struggling with your confessor priest, your spiritual father, and then like a doctor, it's like going for a checkup. Like you'll tell them the symptoms that you have, the things that are wrong with you, and as a doctor, they will tell you, like, okay, this, in their mind, they'll think this person is clearly struggling with lust. That's impulse control. So they'll say, okay, make sure you have a stricter fast on Wednesday and Friday, right, to help this person with impulse control. That's just like an example. But it's a very concrete life. I mean, I guess I'm not. Can you clarify a little more what you mean by like what the boundaries are, like living a Christian life through tradition? I mean, like tradition is such a broad
Sure.
category. Like making the sign of the cross is Basil says in On the Holy Spirit that this is an apostolic tradition that just simply wasn't written down. And Tertullian talks about making the sign of the cross in 190 AD. He's already talking about it as if it's like an ancient practice.
Yeah, maybe I can clarify. Or I understand it's a broad question, so maybe I can narrow it down. What, like, how do you, like, what would be considered tradition and of equal authority to scripture? Like,
The dogmas of the ecumenical councils.
okay.
That would
And
be
then
a
what, how
tradition
do
that
like the
is on
church
the same
fathers fit
level of
into that?
scripture. The church
Gotcha.
fathers build up the Phronema for us to interpret the Bible and the dogmas of the ecumenical councils. So we don't take every single church father individually. We take the consensus of the church fathers because we know that Christ guaranteed that the gates of Hades will not prevail against the church. And, you know, Paul tells us that the church is the pillar and foundation of truth. In the Orthodox view, we see these as collective promises. We don't see these as individual promises, right? So there's no like one infallible church father. It's the church as a whole that can, when they're met in council together, and when these doctrines are received by, you know, also the monastics, the laity, the church as a whole will be guided into the truth, and the church as a whole is the pillar and foundation of the truth. I think that's an important distinctive for us from the Roman Catholic view. And as you can see, these roots are in the Bible. So, yeah, these traditions, the dogmas of the ecumenical councils, that's the tradition that we would put on the same level as Scripture. Otherwise, we have a hierarchy of authority. And I addressed this in my video talking about the papacy, right? So, like, in law, you have a trial court, an appeals court, and the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, those decisions are binding on everybody. Everybody has to obey the decisions of the Supreme Court. Not everybody has to obey the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals or the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, just the trial courts that are within those appellate courts' jurisdiction. And then the trial courts, they're bound by the appellate courts and the Supreme Courts above them. So likewise, in Orthodoxy, we have ecumenical councils, and those dogmas, they act like the Supreme Court. Like everybody has to believe these things. We have regional councils. Those act like appeals courts, where only people under the jurisdiction of those councils have to believe those. They're instructive for us, like they carry a weight, but they're not binding in the same way that a dogma from an ecumenical council is binding. And then church fathers, that would be like individual treatises by legal scholars or judges, except in our case, it's, the saints, they inform our view as well. So it's like there's a hierarchy of authority. And you have to take each factor for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Circling back to what you said about the fathers, where you said you don't take them
Railroader
individually, but
Chaos,
you
thank you for the membership, man. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, go ahead.
No problem. You said you take them collectively.
So for example, there are some things that they all agree on. They all agree on apostolic succession. They all agree that the Eucharist is a propitiatory sacrifice and that it's effective for salvation. They all agree in baptismal regeneration. They all agree on these things.
Yeah.
Now, for other things like toll houses, for example, there's a range of permissible views that you can have on something like that.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. No, that's helpful. I don't want to take up more of your time.
No, do you have any other questions?
Again, we can. Oh yeah, what I said before, just understanding the differences in atonement between penal substitutionary atonement and then whatever, I don't know what the term would be called for what Orthodox believe, but
the atonement. I don't think we can put it in
sure.
the category of like Christus Victor or anything. It would be probably closest to the Christus Victor view. I guess the thing that I would say is that, like, look, we believe that Christ's death on the cross, that it was a sacrifice. We believe that it was an expiatory sacrifice. We believe that he is the Passover lamb, and that in a sense he does appease the God's wrath, because without Christ's sacrifice, what hope is there for us, right? It's not in the sense that God wants to damn us all. God wants to save us all. But we have to be very careful in how we word this. Our objection to penal substitutionary atonement is very specific, right? If you look at the major Reformation figures and the major Reformed figures after that, they, without variation, they teach that the Father damned the Son, that there is a separation, a break in the Trinity between the Father and the Son. That is our objection. But like, if you read guys like Saint Simeon, the New Theologian, if you read, I would recommend Stephen DeYoung's book, Religion of the Apostles. Again, he has a whole section on the atonement. I think that's very instructive on this point. And we have a very specific objection to penal substitutionary atonement. It's the break in the Trinity. And otherwise, we believe that Christ is a sacrifice. We lean more towards the idea that it's expiatory and not propitiatory, right? So for those in the audience that are listening, propitiatory means more that like we are appeasing somebody's wrath by offering them something. Expiatory means that when we are offering something to God, we are cleansing ourselves. Whenever we look at the Old Testament, we see that the animal is sacrificed. And like when we read in Exodus and the covenant between God and Moses and the people of Israel, Moses takes the blood and he sprinkles it on the people. He takes the blood of the animal and he sprinkles it on the people. So there's a few dimensions to this. And so he sprinkles the blood on the people and he sprinkles the blood on the Ark of the Covenant. So in a sense, God and the people are the same blood. They're in the same family, right? So there's they're adopted into God's family. The blood sprinkled on the people also, it purifies them of their sins. It's not like they're offering something to God and like, oh, now he changed his mind because they offered something to God. No, you can't impress God with your works, your sacrifices. No, the sacrifice changes you. So the sprinkling of blood purifies the people when they purify the temple every year. They take the blood of the animal, they sprinkle it around the temple. It purifies the temple. So that's more of our view of the atonement, is that it's more expiatory than propitiatory.
Okay.
Does
Yeah,
that
no,
make sense?
I had heard the problem with the Father damning the Son, and someone was calling John MacArthur like a Nestorian or something like that. I can't remember. I'm not like a MacArthur guy. I'm not like a dispensationalist or anything like that. But I can't remember I can't remember who said that. No, I appreciate it, man. I as we're talking, more questions pop up, but like I said, I'm hesitant to ask more of your time. So if you want, we can keep chatting. Otherwise,
I
I
do
can
have
call
one
in again.
person in the queue, but I'll take one more question and then I'll take Cappadocian Fan. I think he has a bone to pick with me.
Okay, okay, cool. So I one thing that's interesting is I've been learning more about both. Well, I'll just keep this Orthodox. Is that Orthodox like seem to like way more strongly dislike Calvinists than like I've been listening to some Catholic dudes too, just to try to understand like what just trying to understand what's going on, you know. And Orthodox seem like way more strongly to dislike Calvinism, and that's like totally fine. My question is,
And you're right, man. I
how,
can't stand Calvinism. Like, I
right? Yeah, no, I
did
mean,
investigate
I've
that
listened to
view
your
quite a bit.
videos.
I can't stand Calvinism, man.
Yeah,
Cannot stand
yeah,
that
no,
view.
I'm wondering how do you I don't know if there's like an Orthodox um like a consensus on in Orthodoxy on like how God's sovereignty works, whether it's
It's
in
through foreknowledge.
salvation.
So this is the Confession of Dositheus. The Confession of Dositheus, you have to take it for what it's worth, because the the patriarchs there, because it was in the 1600s, probably wouldn't use that language of fathers. But basically, there was a council in Jerusalem in 1672 that basically said Calvinism is a heresy. And they produced a confession there that's, you know, kind of laid out their view. And they went out of their way to use Western scholastic terms because it was directed towards Western Christians. So it was for them to understand our views. So you have to take it with a grain of salt for what it's worth there. But it is a very highly authoritative document in the Orthodox Church. And it makes it very clear that God's sovereignty works through foreknowledge, not through decree. So there's that first aspect, right? That like God knows what we're going to do. It doesn't mean that he decreed it beforehand what we're going to do. And I don't know if you're familiar with the debates on this issue. David at Kayla comes up frequently. The book that really shook me out of this was Michael Heiser's Unseen Realm, where he has a section talking about David at Kayla and how God's foreknowledge does not necessitate that something will come to pass. There are things that God knows that never happens, right? So the Orthodox view is that God in his foreknowledge knows all things. It doesn't mean that he decreed them to happen as a primary cause.
Right.
There's a second part to your
I mean
question. I forgot. What was the second part?
well, I mean, it was whether it was God's sovereignty in salvation or God's sovereignty in general. Like
No, we are synergists when it comes to salvation. We believe in synergy.
right, I understand that. I guess just as I read the Bible, like it seems like especially reading through the Old Testament, like it seems like God just ordains things to come to pass. Like talking about the future of Israel, the Babylonians coming to judge them, and then like I think it's the Persians coming to judge the Babylonians because of their sin, and like it seems like God does ordain things to come to pass, or even in like the New Testament, like more specifically referring to salvation, you have like Acts, like Calvinists like to bring up like Acts 13:48, like those who are appointed to eternal life believe, or Ephesians 1, like God has ordained all things, like I'm wondering, and again, I'm sorry this question's so broad, but like it does seem like God does ordain things to happen. So I'm kind of like it seems like
Yeah,
when you
God has
say
many
it's
decrees.
just
He has many decrees. He
sure,
doesn't have one divine decree. I think that's one thing that's wrong with Calvinism, is that they fall back onto one divine decree that decreed all things. Within the Bible, you see many different decrees. So that means that he doesn't decree all things. He decrees some things. And that's fine. And that's compatible with human free will. It just shows how much more powerful God is than us, that no matter what our efforts are, we cannot stop God's purposes. But there are a bunch of other verses that you need to harmonize with the verses that seem Calvinisty or they seem more deterministic, right? So, yeah, I think, what was it, in Peter, where he says that by not spreading the word of God, we are delaying the return of Christ, or that we can delay the return of Christ by our own actions. There are a bunch of passages that talk about, being co-workers with God, working together with God, and even like, I think it's, what was it, Ephesians 2 that says you are dead in your trespasses, the one that Calvinists like
Yep.
to quote
Yeah,
frequently.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
they're dead in their
Ephesians 2.
trespasses. This guy's also a dead man walking, because it says you were dead in your trespasses. You walked in the ways of the prince of the air. So I think a lot of it is like straining analogies and not taking the biblical text as a whole, because you have a lot of texts that talk about God decreeing things. You have a lot of texts also that talk about, humans affecting God's will. And this is also, there's an idea of reciprocity in here too, that God's essence is unchangeable, untouchable, unknowable. It's beyond us, right? But we know that through his energies, God condescends down to our level. And I think fundamentally, this is a problem with the Calvinist doctrine of God and their absolute divine simplicity. Like, I don't know, are you familiar with the work of dopamine?
No.
With James Dolezal. He's like the absolute divine simplicity guy for the Reformed camp. I've read some of his work. Yeah, I think fundamentally this is a problem with the Calvinist idea of God, because they say that God is fully actualized. He's at all times. There's no change in him. While we would believe that about God's essence, we know that God craves relationship and that in his energies, he condescends down to our level. So there is room
So
for free will within this intellectual structure, because God leaves room for it. He's not always fully actualized in his energies.
so is this I mean, are you like, are Orthodox like more or less Molinists, or are you different than Molinists? Because like what you're saying sounds a little bit like Molinism. Like there's potentially a bunch of possibilities and God kind of orchestrates things, but um
A lot of it is up to mystery. We are not Molinists. I don't think we would agree to any of those Western categories. Um,
okay.
for us, we know that God knows all things, and we're comfortable. Like, there's room in our worldview to chalk it up to mystery. Like, yeah, we make real bona fide decisions, we make real bona fide choices. But if you read St. Maximus the Confessor in his dispute with Pyrrhus, okay, I have two reading recommendations for you on this topic. Maximus's debate
Sure.
with Pyrrhus, which is not very long. And then there is a longer work as well. It's titled Free Choice in St. Maximus the Confessor by Joseph Farrell. Free Choice in St. Maximus the Confessor by Joseph Farrell. They both address this topic. So, like, I guess if I could boil it down, here's how I would say we understand it. True free will is what Adam and Eve had in the garden. They always choose good. This is truly free will. This is when the human will is truly free. We are kind of broken. By eating the fruit of good and evil, we almost lost the ability to like choose the good. Like our ability to employ our will is broken, right? We have a will that tends towards the good because God made us good. God made our will. Our
Yeah,
person
I mean, I don't,
decides how
what
we
might be
employ the will,
helpful,
right?
oh, sorry, what might be helpful is, and I don't know if an Orthodox would use this category, like I don't prefer to talk about in like free will versus not free will. To me, it's more helpful to say like freedom of choice versus freedom of will. So like
Yeah.
a Calvinist would
So choice
say, a
choice is not
Calvinist would
free
say
will.
like you,
Choice is broken.
yeah,
Choice is
so
a
a Calvinist
broken
would
free
say
will.
like, yeah, they would say you technically would be free to choose, but like your will is bound by sin, so like you can't really choose, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's the
And whether that's
compatibilist position. I don't honestly, I don't
right,
think
right,
I don't really buy it, because it's like really everything is predetermined, but you have the appearance that you are choosing, and to you it seems like you are choosing. So it's just determinism under the guise of free will. That's what I think the
right.
compatibilist position really boils down to.
Yeah, it's like close to sophistry. It's just it's like categorizing, and it's like that's my problem with Catholics is like they just create so many like it's I mean, I've been trying to figure out. My friend became a Catholic, and that's what kind of started this whole journey. And my like biggest problem with Catholics and Catholic apologists is it's like their system seems irrefutable because they create like 9 million categories for everything, and
Oh yeah,
like,
you
dude,
have to
this just
corner
seems
them.
like it just seems like sophistry. It's so. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't want to get off topic, but yeah, I mean, I think that the freedom of choice, freedom of will might be contradictory, but maybe sounds nice on face value.
Yeah, so we would say that we have true free choice in the original state in the garden. Our free will is broken now because, as Saint Maximus explains, now to find out what is good and to find out what is evil, we have to like go through this whole process of like, well, you have to come up with reasons and you have to come up with factors and like which one is more good and which one is more bad, and like that part of us is broken. When we're in unity with God, we don't have to go through that process anymore, and we are truly free to act in accordance with our will. Right? So now we are in slavery because our will is a slave in the sense of like an indentured servant to the devil. So Christ comes and he frees up our will, and when we have unity with Christ, that's when our will is truly free. But we can still make choices and we can still make decisions to either have unity with Christ or to deny Christ. It's just it's
Yeah,
broken because now we have to go through like this whole process of reasoning. And that's what St. Maximus the Confessor says.
gotcha. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate your time. I feel bad taking up so much of it. I'm sure I'll have future questions. Maybe I'll call it again in the future. But yeah, I
But
appreciate it.
all right, thanks, man.
Have a good one.
You too. Cappadocian fan?
Yeah, hi.
What's up, man?
Um, wait. You give me like 5 seconds. I'm in the elevator right now, so it's like the worst possible time. So
Sure.
I might cut out, but basically, I had some questions about the nature of the church in the marks, and why you think the
Nature of
Eastern
the church and
Orthodox
what?
Church, the four marks.
Okay.
So you agree it's one Holy Catholic and Apostolic, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the church is Roman in its nature? Like, would you identify the church as one Holy Catholic,
No,
Apostolic, and Roman?
the church is the mystical body of Christ.
Okay, so then you're not in communion with Nicaea too. How can you be in communion with Nicaea too? They identify it that way like 7 times.
So you're saying because Nicaea 2
Well, yeah,
says that
Nicaea
the
too
church is
identifies it
Roman, you
like
have to be in communion with the Bishop of
no,
Rome
no,
to
no,
be in the church?
no.
What is your
I'm.
argument?
It's more of a dumb question. It's a bit of a gotcha, but most people don't know that's what it says.
Well, props to you for admitting that. Props to you for admitting that. What's your argument? I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I am charitable and irenic. Oh, I might have lost you because you were in the elevator. Super chat from Stephen Growth, 1764, donated $4.99. Can you do a series as a lawyer going through and explaining some of the main heresies and councils, or a good resource you could offer on this? Man, this is actually a good idea for a book. Maybe I should do that. Just go through and analyze each ecumenical council as a court case, and have like plaintiff and defendant and evidences and proofs and things like that, and talk about like the hierarchies of authority there. It has been on my mind to do a series like that. So yeah, I think I will at some point just go through all the ecumenical. A good resource on this, brother. I honestly, the way I did it was pretty goofy because I kind of went through everything myself. And built it from scratch. I used Philip Schaff's 8-volume set of the History of the Church up there. You can see it. There's also, okay, let me show you actually a good resource from Justo Gonzalez on this. Okay. Justo Gonzalez, this is volume 1 of his Story of Christianity. And look what he has in the back. This is like a mediocre. I'm not trying to throw shade at Justo Gonzalez. He's like a Yale graduate. He's not a dummy. He has this chart on the ecumenical councils at the end of his book. Hey, this is very helpful. This was the reason why I bought this book, was for this chart. I know, pretty goofy, right? Because I can make it myself. I actually ended up reading the book, as you can tell from the tabs on the side, which it was decent. I would not recommend it if you want to know the history of the canon. But for the history of the councils, this is a very useful chart. He has the 21 ecumenical councils of the Roman Catholic Church, and the 7 ecumenical councils that the Orthodox and the Roman Catholics agree with. And it also says like the primary decisions of each council on the left there. So that is a useful chart. Okay, we got 3 people that want to join, dude. Look at me.
Hello?
All right. Yo, how do I sound in the space, by the way? Do I sound okay in the space?
Yeah, you sound all right.
All right, bet.
Yeah, it just sounds like slightly different. But anyways, when did I cut off? Did you hear my last question?
No, I don't. You said something like it was kind of a gotcha moment, and that's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, right. So my point is, it is like fully a gotcha question, but
I said props to you for at least admitting that.
yeah. So it's fully a gotcha question, but keeping that in mind, would you identify the Eastern Orthodox Communion as Roman Catholic?
We are the Universal Catholic Church, is what I would say.
Well,
I don't know what
yeah,
you,
I know,
what do
I
you
know, I
mean
know.
by Roman Catholic. It seems like a matter of semantics.
Just the name. Do you think it's appropriate to call it that too?
At this time, I would not call it the Roman Catholic Church.
Well,
No, the Roman Catholic Church is in the Vatican.
Well, I know. I mean, not in terms of like the title, but in terms of like the nature of it and stuff.
What do you mean the nature of it? I don't understand your question, man. I'm sorry.
He's trying to say, Alex, he's trying to say that since it mentions Rome and Nicaea too, we reject Nicaea too, since Rome.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I thought he was trying to say.
That was the gotcha part, the gotcha part. But obviously, that's not an argument. That's just a gotcha question. But my point is, I'm trying to ask if you identify the nature of the church as Roman in any way. I mean, even if you think like the Byzantine Empire is the Roman Empire, I guess, and Byzantine through its lineage and like the Byzantine Rite and all that.
What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
Like the nature of the church, like the heritage, I guess. I don't know, like heritage.
It's from Christ.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's what they call it.
The church is from Christ.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they call it in Nicaea too. Like I agree with you, but
who calls it that in Nicaea too?
The people participating like 100 times.
The council or some papal legate somewhere?
No, the council.
This is a declaration of the council that the church came from Rome?
No, not that the church came from Rome.
Okay, so then it doesn't matter.
That it's no, yeah, I know. Just
meeting
that
minutes
you
are
can
not
apply.
binding dogma.
Well, do you know why that is, Cappadocian fan? It's because a lot of the correspondence in Nicaea too is going back and forth between the council members and the Empress Irene. So they're using a lot of platitudes to kind of soften her up as well.
Real quick, I gotta read these super chats. Sorry, I hate to interrupt you guys, but I actually missed them. They came like 20 minutes ago. Shinbones Jones 11 $4.99. Thank you, Shinbones Jones. The caller needs to read Acts 15. It shows how decisions are to be made in the church, and that was to Boolean earlier. Decene1 donated $5. Thank you, Decene1. Would love if you covered Canon and Creed's refutation of Father Trenham's Rock and Sand. Thanks for the stream tonight. My pleasure. D-sign, or D-sign, looks like. You're not the first person to have mentioned that. Cleve here also mentioned that. The thing is, man, I have such trepidation to do so because it's so long. So, anyway, that brings us back up to date. Sorry to interrupt you guys. Go ahead.
My point is, you guys use that term almost like pejoratively, right? But I feel like
no, we're trying to be specific because if we're
I know, but I feel like
irony.
I'm not
trying to use it as a pejorative.
Well, I feel like the irony of people using it is, I feel like you guys have a greater claim to it. I mean, the Roman Empire continued as a Byzantine Empire for like 1,000 years after it fell in the West. Like you guys
Glory to
should
God.
should claim that. So
Yeah,
in that sense, would you claim the title if we didn't use it?
sure. In that sense, I would claim it if you didn't use it.
Okay. But let's see. I guess besides the dumb questions, would you say you worship the uncreated operations?
I mean, they don't have an essence.
Well, yeah, but do you worship them?
I don't think you can worship something that doesn't have an essence.
Well, what about the light
God
at
is
Mount
fully in
Tabor?
his activities in the same way that like if I were to, this is a hypothetical now, so don't strain the analogy here, but if I were to build a house and it would have I would make out the plans for it and I would pick out the materials and build it myself, you would see traces of me all throughout that house, right? So when we feel God's love, it's like when we go to the divine liturgy, we are in God's house and we see the marks of God everywhere. That's in the sense that we participate in his energies. So like in the same way, my activities in building that house are distinct from me myself as my essence. Like that's not me in my essence, but it is really me that you see throughout all the house. As I said, don't strain this analogy because no analogy is perfect, but
Well, yeah,
it's
I
kind of
know.
weird to say that we worship activities because they don't have an essence.
Well, my problem with that is and goes with the stuff about the uncreated light at Mount Tabor, right?
Yes.
I
So the debate between Palamas and Barlaam.
Yeah, well, I think that goes a little bit deeper because I think in terms of like um
Here, I guess in
I
a
guess
sense that let me, if I can be a little bit more direct, I just got another idea. I think in a sense you can say that we do worship God's activities. I mean, if you were to go into the house and love the house that I built, again, not to take the analogy too far,
no, I know
but you would be
I'm just
loving an aspect of me. So by loving my work, you love me in a sense. So especially in the Old Testament, when we see like the glory of God in Leviticus, I think it's 19, it's manifested and it's identified as the glory of God, the Son, the second person of the Godhead. In that sense, God is revealing himself personally. I think, yeah, you can worship the energies in that sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, also think about the theophanies too.
Exactly. Yes.
but I mean my problem with that is how is light not a substantial thing?
Because it's the uncreated light. It's not photons.
What,
It's a spiritual manifestation. It's an energetic manifestation.
so then what exactly like are
It's a
they
spiritual reality.
Yeah, I know, but like how exactly like what exactly is happening there? Like are they seeing like hmm, it said
It's an excellent
it's
question. Do
really
you think that God's essence is manifesting there?
well, I think it's like a created effect, but um
Okay, so when Jesus heals a leper and the disease leaves his body, is that man coming into contact, the leper, is he coming into contact with something created or uncreated? Is
the
he coming
problem
into
is the
contact with
mode of
divine
it.
energies?
The problem is the mode because I'm not entirely sold on the idea that like all I mean because all of this can be true about the energies, right? But
That they're
um
distinct from the essence?
or I can concede all of the stuff about like the uncreated nature and or sorry them being like uncreated or whatever,
Okay.
but it just feels like a really tough thing to grasp, you know what I mean? Like how can it
It
be like
is a very hard thing. It is very, very abstract, and it's very high level theology. Like you talk to your average person on the street there, and you talk about God's energies, they're gonna have like
yeah,
ninety nine
right,
point
right,
nine 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 percent of people are gonna have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. They're gonna think you're like some Hindu or something.
right. But
So it is a difficult concept. You are correct.
yeah. I guess my last thing about that is when do you think so do you think people in the West had all these ideas at one point?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you think they lost that?
Probably when Augustinian theology became the majority view. And I'm not trying to poo-poo Saint Augustine here, but if you read Saint Athanasius, I think you see traces of the essence energies distinction there
Well, yeah,
in his
I know.
discourses against the Arians for sure.
I mean, my point is like all of this stuff about the EED. Like I can see that in the Cappadocians. It's just like
Man, that extra
going
E
and
carries
taking
so
it.
much weight, man. If you just
Wait,
said
what?
ED, that would be a big problem. You got to say EED.
Yeah, I think it cut out. I think it cut out. I meant EED. Like all the stuff about EED. I can see it in people like the Cappadocians and stuff. But just the specifics of stuff like the Mount Tabor light being uncreated. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's just like it's just tough because I mean, um, the guy in my profile picture, I think he's got homilies on that, and he doesn't seem to know that there are these like two competing fields where some people think it's like uncreated and other people think it's created. I mean, to him, he's like completely unaware of that idea,
Uh-huh.
you know? So it's like, and he's like one of the most important church fathers for both of us. I mean, he's like the guy that
Yeah,
wrote
he's a
the
saint in our
dogmatic
church.
tome. Well, yeah, well, not just as he. I mean, he wrote like the dogmatic tome
Yes, for the
for
Fourth
Christology. So
Ecumenical Council, yes.
yeah, yeah. So he's like super important, and
Absolutely.
and he's like complete. I mean, it seems to me like he's unaware about the importance of the Mount Tabor light being uncreated. So like it feels to me like the implication would be the West went apostate like super early on something that's like necessary for like salvific soteriology, you know, because that's like not even like halfway into the first 1,000 years, you know.
I mean, the Sixth Ecumenical Council is pretty clear that the energies are uncreated, and everybody agreed to that.
In the sixth or the fifth, because I
The
know the fifth
the
talks
sixth
about.
the sixth adopted the view of Saint Maximus in his debate with Pyrrhus. And it says expressly that the energies are uncreated. It says expressly that they're uncreated.
Well, so yeah. So in that sense, like
Did
in
Cleve
terms of
leave?
what the,
Oh man, I was just about to ask for his input. Sorry, go ahead.
so I mean
ADHD brain kicking in.
no, it's okay. It happens. It happens to me too. But I mean, it's just confusing because like I get the that specific aspect, right? But the problem is the specifics about stuff like the Mount Tabor light. I just find it like nowhere in the West like ever, you know? Like or it seems to me like if it's so crucial that it's going to be dogma, right? But halfway, like before even like halfway into the first 1,000 years. So my question would be, do you think this like specific Palmite understanding of theosis is like crucial and like necessary for like
Yes.
soteriology?
Yes, I
But
think it
then,
is. I
okay,
think it's a
okay,
very
so
crucial component.
right. So then then you think the West went apostate when it wasn't going apostate and when it was defending orthodoxy, like Pope
Well,
Saint
what
Leo
date are
is
you?
completely.
What date do you think they went apostate?
Well, I don't think they ever did because I'm.
I'm saying, what date do you think that I am saying that they went apostate?
Oh,
I'm saying clearly at the
yeah,
Sixth
like
Ecumenical Council, they appear to be Orthodox. For me, it
well,
seems to be
because
at the Eighth Ecumenical Council when they
well,
start going awry with Nicholas the First and was it Pope John the Eighth? Was it the Eighth?
yeah. So I don't think you're getting like the specific
That's why I'm
distinction I'm drawing
asking. Yeah,
because
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So the specific distinction I'm drawing isn't EED. It's the specifics of Palimism, such as the light at Mount Tabor being uncreated. That specific
The
thing is
Sixth
crucial for
Ecumenical
Palamite
Council
TI.
says the energies are
No,
uncreated.
no, but not. The problem is what. So the understanding that the light of Mount Tabor is an uncreated energy, not a created effect from the energy, is um is what I find contradicted by the Western fathers. Um
Like who?
like Leo,
Leo
he
says
thinks
that the
it's
light at Mount Tabor is created.
yeah, he thinks it's a created effect from the human nature.
Well, I'm not an expert on Leo, but what I do know is that not every single writing by each saint or church father,
Well,
not even every single writing by a pope, is completely binding on everyone. I do know what is binding on you is the Sixth Ecumenical Council, which says the energies are uncreated. I guess you're trying to say that like the light at Mount Tabor is a created effect. Again, I would ask, when Christ heals a leper, is that leper coming into contact with uncreated energy or with something created?
Well, the problem is, right, so again, going back to my main point, I can affirm...
Okay, but when Christ heals a leper, is the leper coming into contact with the uncreated?
I guess the question would be, is he coming in contact with that through a created mediation? That's the question.
Even if it's through a created mediation,
well, that's a very fundamental difference.
Contact with something uncreated. Basically, is it a human energy to will leprosy away? Is that a human energy or a divine energy?
So, I feel like you're making a distinction
energy.
that actually. Well, right? Yeah, but the problem
is divine energy.
The problem is, though, the premise of hesychasm is that they're making direct contact with the uncreated light.
Just
so
like
there is
Christ
no created mediation.
Performed his miracles.
So again, right?
When these people were healed, they came into contact with the divine uncreated energies. When Christ walked on water, is that a human energy or the divine energy? A walking is a created energy. Okay, it's a human energy. Is walking on water a human energy?
So, dude, I get the point you're making. But my contention isn't like, I don't think this is just something where a church father made a mistake. Like, I think the West just completely lacks this understanding of a direct contact with something uncreated, like the light of Mount Tabor stuff. Like the light of Mount Tabor
it's the same kind of
no,
miracle as any other miracle.
Well, it's a fundamental difference, though, because the premise of hesychasm, right, as I understand it, is someone is making direct contact with the uncreated light with no created mediation. Yeah, or sorry, uncreated light with no created mediation. That's like a fundamental thing that's necessary for Paulinism, or not just for, well, specifically for hesychasm in any way. Like, that crucial detail is fully necessary. But the West completely lacked any understanding of that in crucial detail necessary for hesychasm by 450 and by Pope Leo.
Is this a hard teaching to think that that God's activities work on you? Is this a hard teaching?
My problem isn't the teaching. My problem is the West seems to have no idea at the necessity and importance of the Mount Tabor stuff. Like, to me, it seems like...
It's not just Mount Tabor. It's every single miracle of Christ.
Well, the problem is Mount Tabor specifically, and making contact with something uncreated directly without any uncreated mediation.
That was the bone that Barlaam had to pick with the hesychasts on Mount Athos.
Well, yeah, but the problem is, again...
That's why it was such a central issue.
Yeah, I get it was a central issue,
it goes across the board to all of the miracles of Christ.
Right, but would you agree then that the West had no my contention is the West had no understanding of the importance of the Mount Tabor stuff and how it relates to hesychasm by the time of Leo? Because, I feel like his understanding isn't just like a church father making a mistake in terminology. He seems completely unaware of its importance on something that would become dogmatic, you know what I mean? Like, if it's so important for hesychasm, and if it's like a necessary
until it's disputed, there's not that much for them to talk about, right?
So then you think it's like only...
how many conversations do you see about Mary being Theotokos over Christotokos until somebody tried to dispute it? Everybody called her Theotokos, and then somebody, Nestorius, went to go dispute it, and then it became a big issue. And that's when people started talking about it. So until somebody's exactly my point. Dispute the essence energies distinction, there's really no reason to talk about it.
Well, no. So my contention is, so this isn't something where... So I think the implication of all of this and of your view is the West had no idea any of this was important. The East already had this view. So the necessary conclusion from that is the West went apostate on something necessary for salvation less than halfway into the first 1,000 years. Like, they didn't understand this important doctrine in your view. Like,
the Sixth Ecumenical Council is my doctrine. The Sixth Ecumenical
Yeah,
Council is this view.
They didn't understand the importance of the on the direct contact with the uncreated stuff from Mount Tabor and how that was necessary for hesychasm. Like,
The Sixth Ecumenical Council says that.
Do you think
It
anyone
doesn't
in the
use the
West
example
practiced?
of Mount Tabor, but it uses every single other one of Jesus's miracles
Okay,
as
the
not all of
problem
them,
is
but it uses his miracles as an example. The exact same principle is affirmed by the Sixth Ecumenical Council, and St. Palamas actually says this. He's like, this view is not new. This is the same view as the Sixth Ecumenical Council. You also see it in the Bible in St. Paul. When he makes a distinction, he uses dunamis for first actuality and energeia for second actuality. It's everywhere.
so.
It's in the Bible. Of course, they believe this.
Right. So, do you think anyone in the West?
I'm not trying to come at you hard or anything. I feel like I'm coming at you a little
I understand,
too hard.
but
It's a good question. I get it. It's a hard concept. It's an abstract concept, but I feel like we're kind of coming to a head here where we're not quite not quite moving the ball down the line. And I got a few other people requesting to speak. So
can I ask one last thing?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Do you
also
think
thanks for calling in? I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good talk. But do you think anyone between the year 325 and like, I don't know, whenever Nicaea 2 happened, in that time period, do you think anyone in Western Christianity practiced hesychasm and knew about hesychasm?
The Desert Fathers and St. Paul.
Okay.
It's a Pharisaical tradition. It's a very old tradition.
Yeah, I'm aware of the Merkava mysticism thing, but dude, I mean,
it's not. It's just prayer of the heart. We see that Father Steve. If you're more interested on this, Father Stephen DeYoung has a book on St. Paul, and he talks about how prayer of the heart is a Pharisaical practice, a silent prayer, and then it got carried on. It moved on to the church as an apostolic tradition that was passed on to the church, and you see the Desert Fathers doing the same thing in like the 200s.
Okay. Let's see. Desert Fathers. Okay, that's a good talk though. A good talk.
Yeah. But thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate. Also,
yeah.
I didn't mean to start beef with you or whatever when I retweeted your thing. I just figured it would be a good opportunity for me to get across my view. I didn't mean that personally at all, so I hope you don't take it that way.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I guess about that, I just feel like a lot of the time Protestants use the term Roman Catholic. It's like pejorative, because it's like it's to negate the claim of universality, and it's the same thing with calling it Eastern Orthodoxy, right? The idea of it's like just Eastern. It's pejorative. For me,
I'm just like, it's just the way I'm trained, right? So I don't mean it personally. It's just we are trying to use very specific language, right? So I'm not trying to throw shade.
I guess what I was trying to say in the tweet is what you think about Holy Orthodoxy versus Eastern Orthodoxy is exactly what I think about the title for my church. Like I had the exact same dilemma, but anyways, thank you.
But that was a good irenic chat. I have some super chats here, and then we'll go to Christian Groiper. You've been waiting very patiently. JB Peltier donated $5. Yes, we worship the uncreated energies, energetic manifestations, or God appearing in time and space. We cannot know him otherwise. Yes. Agreed. So we worship the energies. They are worshipped throughout the Old Testament. The question just kind of caught me off guard because it's not the topic, but I did my best. Dang, if anyone I know has to go to court, this is Anemone donated $5. Thank you, Anemone. Dang, if anyone I know has to go to court and gets cross-examined by Alex, I'm going to tell him just to plead guilty. Well, I hope I do a good job and I don't disappoint you guys. AnGL650 donated CRC 2500. I don't know what that is, but thank you very much. ANG3L650. Live reenactment of Barlam versus Palamas. Truly, there's nothing new under the sun. Yes, there's a great John of Damascus quote on that, actually. It says, there's nothing new under the sun except Jesus Christ, the God-man, fully God, the only new thing under the sun, which is a quote that goes so hard. It's an excellent quote. So, Christian Groiper, what's up, man? You have been waiting very patiently.
Oh, no problem. How's it going, Alex? Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming on. How can I help you? What's on your mind?
So I just wanted to start by thanking you for the content that you put out. It's really helped me along my theological journey that I've been on.
Thank you. That helps a lot. How do I sound in the space, by the way? Am I intelligible?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, bet. Because one time I had a problem when I tried to stream and do the X spaces on my desktop at the same time, so that's why I ask.
It does fizzle out a little bit, but I can still hear you. I don't know
Okay.
if anybody else
Give me
has that,
1
but
second. Let me refresh the. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So I guess I want to start out by talking about my background a little bit. I go to you know what the eFCA is?
No, refresh my memory.
It's the Evangelical Free Church of America.
Okay.
It's like a pietist movement,
Okay.
basically. And I'm on my way out of that church, and I'm probably gonna become a catechumen in the Orthodox Church.
Glory to God. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely exciting, and I've been studying theology for about 6 months now, and I think I've come to the conclusion of Holy Orthodoxy. Um, and I guess what I
That's
would like to
awesome.
ask you,
Very good news.
yeah, I'm actually very excited. But what I want to ask you about is you had a refutation video of Samuel Farag.
Yes, I did. My
Yeah.
friend Samuel Farag. God
So
bless him.
funny enough, my pastor at this EFCA church goes to the same Reformation society that he goes to.
Okay.
And I was telling, because he lives very close to where I live. And so I was telling him, my pastor, about this, and he's like, "Well, I want to have my friend Samuel Farag come and like do a presentation and why like Orthodoxy preaches this like evil false gospel and all this stuff that he says in like his article and his videos and stuff." I guess what I would like to hear from you is like, what questions should I ask him?
Oh, man, I don't even know where to start. I don't know. I guess it would depend on what he talks about. Man, if I were to ask Sam Farag one question, I don't know. Chat, what do you think? I'd probably say something about ecclesial anxiety. Probably say like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous." Do you know what he's talking about? Do you know what the topic is?
It's called the Dangers of Eastern Orthodoxy. That's the name of the presentation. I'm assuming it's going to talk of Sola Fide, penal substitutionary atonement, you know, icon veneration, Mariology, basic things like that.
Yeah, I guess I'd just probably be prepared for, because he'll probably give the same presentation that he does in that video that I responded to. Alex, you're quiet on the X space now. You were more clear earlier. All right. Am I clear on the X space, Christian Groiper?
It did get a little worse.
Oh, great.
Sorry, I guess I should have said something.
How about now? Testing.
It's still kind of doing the same thing where it like kind of goes in and out, but I can understand what you're saying. It's just not like crystal clear.
Great. This is what happened last time. Hold on 1 second. Okay. The chat is saying, why do you conflate Oriental Orthodoxy as being the same as Eastern Orthodoxy? Sam Farag, how do you justify the Protestant canon? That's probably a good one, I think, to run on any Protestant, because really, to find out the canon list, you do fall back on some tradition. It's either the Reformed tradition or some Pentecostal tradition. It's some kind of tradition that they fall back on. And then at the end of the day, this is the point that Jay makes, is that everybody's in the same boat. So now he has to justify his tradition, not and then now I'm justifying my tradition. He's justifying his tradition. Right.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, we both fall back on tradition here. That's probably the one.
I was gonna ask him about the Eucharist too, like how he went from like a Eucharist view of the sacrament to probably a memorialist view of the sacrament. Like what made his mind change?
I think that's an excellent angle as well.
And I guess talking about the canon too for a second. a lot of like the pushback I hear is that like, oh, you know, Eastern Orthodoxy doesn't even know its canon. Like there's discrepancies on what the canon is.
Doesn't
There's like a
matter in our system. We don't have the same system.
mm,
And I guess we know what the canon is through the tradition that's passed down. So like what the Georgian church has 4 Maccabees. I mean, if it really was a point of contention, then there would be a council about it. But because it's not a point of contention, we don't need a council. All that it means is that the system is working properly.
mm,
So
mm.
in our view, it's not a system level destroyer in the same way that if you're sola scriptura and you can't decide on what the canon is, like on what basis can a Protestant say that your canon is wrong? Because even John Calvin, at the end of the day, relied on the burning in the bosom to know what the canon is. Because he
Mm.
realized that if I appeal to tradition, now I'm in the same boat as everybody else. So he had to
Yeah.
find some like Gnostic angle. That's what eventually what it boils down to, is that it reduces down to some sort of Gnostic angle. Like, how do you know? Because I know. I have special knowledge, special gnosis.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have like a whole lot to say, but I thought it was funny that, you know, you not a whole lot of like the big guys know who Samuel Farag is. When I was looking through his videos, and then I found your video on him, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to watch this. And
Well, I
I
saw
want
some like my Baptist friends on Facebook sharing it as if it was like some defeater, and I was like, dog, this is the lowest tier stuff ever. It's
it's
literally just
actually like
slander.
slop.
It's slop. It's not even good.
No, it's like really dishonest stuff, like very not advanced in any like way.
Dude, is
But
Father Stephen DeYoung in my chat? Father Stephen DeYoung is in my chat. Father Stephen DeYoung, thank you so much for your book, Religion of the Apostles. It helped me a lot when I was inquiring. I cannot wait to read your book, your upcoming book on the atonement. I also have your book on St. Paul the Pharisee. I have your book on God is a Man of War. Your work has been invaluable for me. Thank you so much. I just wanted to put that out there since I have Facebook. Alex is a boomer. I mean, I use Facebook so I can talk to Justin Menard, guys. Sorry to interrupt you, Christian Groiper. Go ahead.
no problem. I just have one more question for you.
Yes.
What book recommendations would you have for somebody who's pretty settled on Orthodox theology, but wants to learn more about specific like liturgy traditions? You know, because I see a lot of things happen, and there are certain things that I don't understand what's going on. So
So it depends on how much you're willing to commit. I would say my top book on this, to get the most bang for your buck, I'd say Williams and Anstall, Orthodox Worship. If you look at the YouTube video, whatever timestamp this is, it looks like 2 minutes 54 seconds or something. Orthodox Worship by Benjamin Williams and Harold B. Anstall. The subtitle is A Living Continuity with the Synagogue, the Temple, and the Early Church.
I see it right here. Yeah.
Yes, that would be my top choice. My second choice would be Hugh Wybrew, The Orthodox Liturgy, the Development of the Eucharistic Liturgy in the Byzantine Rite. And if you want something very academic, the go-to text on this is The Shape of the Liturgy by Dom Gregory Dix. But this is a really big time commitment, and it's very academic. So I would say Williams and Anstall would be the definitive. That would be where you want to start. Absolutely, it's an excellent book.
Great. Yeah. There's a lot of things I understand, but there's a lot of things I don't understand. So, like just little things like I've been to an OCA church in a Russian church, and the OCA church sings the Nicene Creed, but the Russian one, I believe the Russian one recites it to my memory. I haven't been to that one as much as the OCA one. So just like little discrepancies like that.
We recite it as well. So there's like a small T tradition that we have a permissible range of views with the small T tradition. With the big T tradition, that is like the structure of the liturgy. That structure will never change.
Right.
So like the antiphons, the litanies, like all that stuff will never change.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, so Williams and Anstall, and then Hugh Wybrew, and then if you really want to be a super nerd about it, then the Dom Gregory Dix. But you definitely should read Williams and Anstall. That is like the book on this.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate your hard work.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in, man. Who did I just let speak? There are some
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Actual non-denominational heterodox. How can I help you today?
Yeah,
What's on your
I
mind?
put that as my name because I was on a journey, but I'm becoming Orthodox now. So I was
Glory to God. I'm
literally an
glad to hear
actual
it.
non-denominational. Yeah. I actually had a question. Maybe you don't know about this. I'm actually
Okay.
reading through the ecumenical councils,
Very good.
and I seen I think it's Canon 15 of Chalcedon. I think it's about women deacons,
Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
it's not that I'm not I don't want that to be a thing because I've been told that that's like wrong. But like, is there like what's the nuance for it being a thing back then and it not being a thing now? Like, do you
I
know?
mean, back then there were a lot of places that were restricted to women only, like places where men were simply not permitted to go. Uh, so in that case, to minister to those women, you would need a woman to go there, and they wouldn't have like the same liturgical functions. This was more of like practical position where they would do like administrative
Right,
functions. There's
or I
also
was
the
just gonna
issue
say like
of nude baptisms. Baptisms were originally done nude. You see Saint Cyril in his catechesis talking about this. So this would be like mid 300s, where Saint Cyril is talking about nude baptisms. In those situations, you would need a female to assist. So there was a function back then, but now there's no
okay,
function or really administrative purpose to
okay,
have
yeah,
a
I figured there
woman,
was some type of
yeah,
nuance thing
deaconess.
like that.
So yeah,
Right. Okay, I had another question.
sure.
I I know you were Pentecostal. I was actually Pentecostal too. Were you Trinitarian?
Yes, I was not from a oneness Pentecostal background. I was from
Okay,
it was assemblies of
me
the Romanian Pentecostals associate with assemblies of God mostly.
Okay, because I'll tell you what, I'm Romanian Pentecostal, but I don't know if
Oh,
you
hey,
we're
pace
Gypsy Romanian
frate. I'm glad.
Pentecostal.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, and that's what I grew up in. I wanted to ask you a question. If this is something you went through, or if you know other Pentecostals who have had this issue. Uh, do you know have any Pentecostal friends, or maybe yourself? Have you ever had the issue of was it charismatic? Right? Is there a Pentecostal church that's not charismatic? I think they all are, right?
And charismatic is a general term that it can also
Yeah,
encompass like high church traditions. So
right.
Pentecostal
Well,
is
I mean,
more
like
specific
speaking
than
in
charismatic.
tongues, or God told
Yes.
me
Yes,
this.
huge
Okay,
emphasis on that. Enormous
right.
emphasis.
Did that ever make you feel like God didn't wasn't rocking with you? Because like it's happening to all these other people, and then it's like not happening to you. Did you ever experience that?
Well, it did happen to me, but I have to admit that I
Okay.
think I was just caught up in the moment, and I think everybody else was caught up in the moment, and I think they're deceived because you never see in the Bible a manifestation of the gift of tongues without it being an actual intelligible language. Now, people will try to make
Right.
inferences from like the language of angels, which is a very clear hyperbole in my view. And
Yeah,
in
he just
in the
exaggerating.
patristic consensus, basically the view for 2,000 years was that this is a hyperbole. But yeah, so the thing that snapped me out of it was when I was studying Reformed theology and cessationism, was that these practices are in you can't really discern the difference between those practices and certain Kundalini yoga practices. They look identical, like literally
Right.
exactly the same.
Right. A couple more things, if it's okay.
Sure.
Uh, I actually, to touch on that, I have a cousin. His name is Gino, and this guy is like, you have a friend that's like just stone cold, like zero emotion at all. Like you might like like stone
Sounds like he's
cold
struggling with
emotion.
sociopathy.
Right. But I'll tell you what's funny. We're talking about theology, right? And I point out how it's bad that the Pentecostal church runs like that because it makes people feel like they don't have God. Some people, right? Because they're not getting the gifts and they're
I
not feeling
see.
that fire and all that. And this guy, again, like I said, super unemotional. He literally tells me, he's like, yeah, bro, even I get jealous. Like, I feel like maybe like God doesn't like, maybe like, why is he going to all these other people but not to me? And this is like someone who's like stone cold serious. And it even bothered someone like him, let alone people who are like actually, like emotional.
I
So
see what you're
it's
talking about. I
definitely.
did struggle with this as well, because
Yep.
it's kind of like, what's wrong with me? Like, what am I doing wrong? How come all of my friends have speaking in
Right.
tongues?
And then
I'm over here like
and then,
begging God for hours and hours at the prayer gathering,
yes.
and like
Yes.
I don't get it. So yeah, I agree. It is
And
there is an
not
emotional
not
manipulation there.
not prosperity, but the whole thing, like if you just believe hard enough it'll happen, right? You know, that kind of teaching.
I know a
And
lot of people that have
they
suffered
like,
from that teaching. Yes,
yeah. And
it's
it's like, well,
generally
am I
more
not
word of
believing hard
faith.
enough? Yeah, it's like that's like the worst thing about it, I would say. Um then I guess I had another question.
Sure.
Um I wanted to know if you knew uh how would you, because you brought up Matthew 25 earlier,
Yes.
and but the problem is a lot of Protestants are dispensationalist and they believe in the 1,000-year reign.
Yes.
And because that verse is talking about the
We
Son of
also
Man
believe in the
coming in his
1,000-year
glory with his
reign.
angels.
We also believe in the
Oh,
1,000-year reign. We just don't think it's a literal 1,000 years. We think it's the church age. But yeah,
right.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, no.
I know they
Yeah,
believe
but
in
they think like
they believe in
animal
Chiliasm.
sacrifices is
Yeah.
coming back. Right. So when I bring that verse up to them, they're like, well, no, that's because, the animal sacrifices are going to come back. And then it's going to be like the Old Testament. And you're going to be judged off of your works like the Old Testament. And it's like, it's very clear, Paul, when he's talking about Abraham, Abraham was saved by faith. So the way you're saved in the Old Testament is the same in the New Testament. But I just want to know, what would your response be, or what would you think to say to someone who says that about Matthew 25, that says that that's like a different type of judgment?
I have a verse for you on this.
Okay.
Let me pull it up. Then I'll share it with the chat as well.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, Hebrews 8. At the starting from verse 7, he goes back to Jeremiah 31. He talks about the promise of a new covenant. At the end of Hebrews 8, St. Paul tells us in verse 13, in that he, God, says, a new covenant, he has made the first obsolete. Now what is becoming obsolete and growing old is ready to vanish away and then come back later. Just kidding. He doesn't say and then come back later. He literally just
Yep.
says it's obsolete and it will vanish away. And then at the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, we see the fulfillment of this new covenant, the final fulfillment. And the old covenant is obsolete. So I guess, I understand that these people will twist the scriptures any which way and they will find a way to worm their way out of this, but this seems pretty definitive. Seems like pretty definitive language to me. I mean, how else are you going to
Yeah.
twist obsolete?
Right. I'll, I'll tell you the truth, though. At least in my community, especially like Pentecostals, evangelicals, it's not even that they're twisting anything. It's just they just trust their pastor. I feel
Yeah,
bad. A
there's a
lot of them
celebrity
don't even
pastor
look into
culture
any
for
of
sure.
it.
Yeah,
A
so in
lot
the
of them
same
don't
way
even
that
listen
like
to anything.
yeah, in the same way that the Orthodox Church revolves around the liturgy, you have Protestantism generally revolves around pastors. That's why you have a celebrity pastor culture. And it ends up being, well, why do you go to this church? Well, because the teaching is really
Right.
good. Why do you go to that church? Well, the
Right.
worship was really powerful. I really felt it that day, you know? And it becomes very
Right.
subjective and like basically you're church shopping.
Right. And I'll tell you. I'll tell you an example. And like Protestants don't even notice they do this. So I was trying to explain to my friend I showed him Matthew 21:43, Galatians 3:4 about how the church is the chosen people, right?
Yes.
Paralleled it with Peter, where he uses the holy nation, holy priesthood language on Gentiles. Uh, I I parodied that with the Exodus language that's about Israel. And you know what he literally says to all that proof? I'm gonna go axe the pasture. It's like I literally said, like, are you a Catholic? He's not the Pope.
Yeah.
Like, why do you why, like, I'm showing you everything. It's like, and that's why I really don't like judging a lot of the Protestant guys, because a lot of them are just listening to their pastor, listening to their mom and dad. And a lot, some of them, once you show them the stuff, some of them will hear you out, but some of them are just scared too, which is why I'm hoping to get better at explaining things. And your videos are really good at that, by the way. I
Thank
actually
you. I
I
appreciate
don't
that.
know how I never noticed it in Job. And I actually read Job not that long ago. And it just glossed right by it. Like all
Yeah.
the angel stuff. Didn't even notice it.
Yeah, well, I think that's why secondary sources are useful, like Father Stephen DeYoung's work and Dr. Michael Heiser's work. Of course, you have to take his work with a grain of salt because he's not Orthodox. But I think Father Stephen DeYoung has a great synthesis of, that divine counsel theology. And that's one thing that kind of shook me when I was a Protestant was like I was reading Michael Heiser and I was like, wow, this is cutting edge, like brand new theology. And then I read Father Stephen DeYoung and I was like, wait, for Orthodox people, this is just theology. Like it's
Right.
not new or cutting edge. They've always believed this.
Right. I also wanted your opinion on this.
Sure.
I kind of get mixed opinions from different people.
Okay.
If there's somebody I know and I want to tell them about Orthodoxy, but I think that they'll never agree with it or never change, am I better off not telling them,
No, because
or should I
you
still
don't know the
try?
state of their heart. Okay, so there's a balance here because I don't know the specifics of your life and your relationship with these people. So on
Right.
one end of the spectrum is like you're going around and browbeating people into Orthodoxy. Like we should not do
No, no,
that.
not
Like
like
that's kind
that.
of off the table.
Yeah,
On the
no,
other end
not
of the
like
spectrum, it's like you should never talk about it at all, which is that's also off the table. Right? So
that. Okay.
there's a middle path here where we can talk to people about it in a respectful way and in a way where it's not off-putting and then they kind of like dread talking to you because it's like, oh, he's the Orthodox guy, all he's ever going to talk about is Orthodoxy and theology. I mean, if we do truly care about people and love people, like we're gonna actually try to befriend them and like be curious about like who is this person, like let's build a relationship with them, right? So even at work, like wherever I'm going, I'm very open about being a Christian, so it just comes up in conversation where, oh, Alex, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I'm going to church. What are you doing? Oh, you go to church, Yeah, I'm very passionate about theology and philosophy and stuff. If you want to talk about it, like I'm the guy to ask, whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
Because
there's
I
a
I know.
there's a friendly way to go about it for sure.
Right. Well, friendly is not really my thing. Okay, because Roman Catholics have a doctrine. I think is it something to do with ignorance, like invincible ignorance or something like that.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. No, we should
So
definitely tell people because like the normative means of salvation is the Orthodox
right,
Church, right? So you need the sacraments, you need apostolic succession. This is what the Bible teaches. That if
right,
you schism off, like what hope is there for you if you're going to go start your own church, right? In Romans
right,
16, as I said in my most recent video, Paul says that those who go off and start their own church that cause divisions, they don't serve our Lord Jesus Christ, they serve themselves. So That's a big problem, right? And if we do love these people, we do want to bring them into the Orthodox Church because, of course, there are like extra normative means of being united to the mystical body of the church through like baptism of desire, baptism of blood. But I mean, again, those are the exceptions to the rules. The normative,
Right.
the normal way of being united to the body is through being received in the church, participating in the sacraments, and living a Christian life.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm asking. I'll tell you why I'm worried about it, because I'm worried, like I wonder if they'd be better off if I didn't convince them of certain issues, because I have a friend who he agrees, like I switched his mind on baptism, I switched his mind on communion, I switched his mind on a lot of stuff, but he can't get over the like Mariology and like the saint stuff, right?
Yeah. I think
And he
that
was
a lot of
thinking,
that might not necessarily be an intellectual problem. A lot of
right,
that might just be a heart problem, which is like
and he's considering Lutheranism. So
because he wants to go the middle path because he's afraid of praying to saints.
right, but I wonder, would he be better off if I just didn't reveal any, like, I'm trying basically trying to ask, is there any verses, or if there's any like thing in the patristics where like a ignorant person is gonna be judged better than someone who knows the truth and doesn't accept it?
Well, we are called to preach the gospel to all nations, to all the not us, not every single layperson, but
Right,
the church is asked to bring the gospel to all nations, right? And
right,
not every single person is an apologist, not every single person is a priest, but every person can say to their neighbor, "Come and see," right? And here's the thing: is like, what's the most effective way to get somebody to change their mind about God, about the church? Most effective thing to do is to pray for them.
yes,
That's number one. You have to pray for them and then talk to them, be their friend, and then invite them to the liturgy. That's the most effective way to do it. And of course, there are going to be intellectual things along the way. And like the intellectual things are important, but they are very much like secondary or tertiary. Really, the
right,
most important things are going to go to the liturgy and they're going to feel the energies of God working in their heart, hopefully.
right. Well,
I hope so.
what's good is two of my cousins that are like starting to accept some of the stuff. They agreed to come whenever I dedicate my son. They actually agreed to come to church to see that.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm gonna get them there at least once, and hopefully that's good.
Very
So
good.
you would
Father,
say,
I do have Father Chris here. Father Chris, would you like is there anything you'd like to add to this? Do I have Father Chris in here? Did I lose him? Ah, okay. Well, go ahead. I might have lost Father Chris here.
oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
You can go ahead. I thought I had Father Chris in here, but
Oh,
it
okay.
appears maybe I lost him.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Hebrews 8 is good. About the temple coming back and all that. Um.
Yeah, the old covenant is obsolete. Yeah. I do
Okay.
have one more person in the queue here though, so let's if you have like one more question, let's
Yeah.
try to
It'll just be
wind
a
down.
quick question, and
Yeah,
then I'll be out of here. And if you don't know, maybe you could direct me to someone who might know.
sure.
About the energies, right? Um. Example, like the glory in Leviticus 9 that's worshipped.
Yes.
Now, when I heard of Essence Energies, this is how I imagined it, but I guess I imagined it in a wrong way. Or like, let's use Genesis 18, right? When Jesus is eating with Abraham. Now, I believe that it's really Jesus, right? It's really the second person of the Godhead, right?
Okay.
But the mode of appearance, because I imagine he just looks like Jesus, but we don't know for sure, right?
Okay.
The mode of appearance, like his hair, his skin, is that is he within a created mode? Not that the energy is created. The mode of which he's appearing, but it's still 100% God in the energy? Or is it all complete energy, 100% God, no created aspect at all whatsoever?
I think it's all uncreated energy, and the way it manifests to us is through ways that we understand. So if
Okay.
you read Father Seraphim Rose's book on the toll houses, he goes through how the saints, when they describe things in heaven or like things in the spiritual realm, they always appear to us in the form of symbols or icons, because there are things that within our humanity we cannot grasp. So the way our mind interprets it is in the way of symbols and of icons. And it's probably, I guess I'm speculating a little bit here, the same thing when we have these sort of manifestations. I think they are uncreated, of course. And the way they're revealed to us would be in a way that we understand, although they are uncreated activities. They're divine.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay. I'll probably look into that a little bit.
Yeah.
You said
Well, and then
Father said first full house.
John 17 is very clear that the glory of God is uncreated, and that in Leviticus says, and the glory of God appeared. I mean, they're seeing the glory of God. It might be in some sort of icon or symbol. And then, don't get me wrong, when I say symbol, I don't mean metaphor, because a symbol has a specific meaning within Orthodoxy. It's an
Right.
actual reality.
Well, I guess
So-
let me give you an example of what I mean by in a created mode, but it's truly God.
Sure.
I guess like the incarnation would be my example, right?
Yeah.
Like it's God, 100% God, and he heals with godly power, but he's appearing as a creature.
Yes, and that was unique.
Okay. So you would say the theophanies are not like that?
Correct. They are
Okay.
theophanies. They are energetic manifestations. The incarnation was unique.
Okay.
That's why it's so important. It's unique. If it wasn't unique, if he could just appear in a body, which he could, but he wanted to do it in a unique way, to actually be incarnate among us. That was the plan from the beginning.
Right. Genesis 3, right?
Yes. Walking in the garden. That's right.
Right.
So
Okay.
thank you for the
All right, well,
questions.
thank you for
I do
everything.
have a few people
Yep,
waiting
thanks for
here.
everything.
So thanks for calling
sorry I
in.
took so much time. Have a
You're
good
good.
one.
Thanks. Ian Early.
Hey, can
What's
you hear
up,
me?
Ian? Yes.
Okay, so I just had a few quick questions. I asked one earlier that my YouTube's like honk me or whatever, but here I have a few questions
Nice.
written
Yeah.
down. I appreciate that earlier. I really do.
Sure.
So I heard you talking to another. I'm not sure if he's an inquirer or whatever earlier about like authority in scripture and sola scriptura, etc. I'm not sure if I missed this, but by what standard do you guys take certain teachings of church fathers or saints? Is it based on majority, certain time frame, and
No.
then like what is that criteria?
It's not
Like I
based
know the
on
ecumenical
majority.
councils, like you know what I mean, but
Think about it this way: the Supreme Court, you have 9 judges on the Supreme Court, right? The way
Sure.
they make decisions is not by a democratic process and a majority vote. It's through debate and through scrutiny, and that's the same way that a council works. When it comes to individual fathers, we take the patristic consensus, which is why councils are so important, because what's the best way to find the consensus of the fathers? So, well, we have 300 something bishops at Nicaea 1, have
Right.
hundreds of bishops at these councils. That's why they're so important. So the things that the fathers all agree on, baptismal regeneration, that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ,
Sure.
how, if you do not have the church as your mother, how can you have God as your father, right? These are things that they agree on. Nobody disagrees on these things.
No, I'm not saying that. I was more saying like on not completely, and maybe these things aren't as important, but things that aren't like mainstay issues, but like things that you should be thinking of. Like for example, like I've heard stuff on toll houses and stuff, and I've looked into stuff like that. Not saying you have to go into that right now, but just overarching, like how would you kind of pick that out?
So all the saints are venerated equally except for the Theotokos, because she is the mother of God and the queen of heaven, so she has a little more. A little more. She has hyperdulia. We offer dulia to all the other saints. However, intellectually, there are some standouts among the saints, right? So, for example, the theology laid out in St. Maximus's disputation with Pyrrhus, right? So that theology is held to a slightly higher level than the opinion of, I don't know, like St. Augustine or something, right?
Sure.
So there are some saints that are known for certain things, like, for
Like
example, there are
Saint Cyril
titles
or
like,
something?
yeah, exactly, where their theology was adopted by a council and they laid out the theology of it. So their theology would be held in a slightly higher regard. And there are special titles with all the saints. For example, there's a title equal to the apostles. Or they say like Saint Constantine equal to the apostles, referring to the Emperor Constantine. Does that mean that he's actually equal to the apostles in
Of course not,
authority
yeah.
and doctrine? No. It's referring to like spreading the gospel in a missionary sense, right? Like spreading the gospel out there. And there's some Russian saints that also have that title equal to the apostles. So like each saint, although we honor them equally, there are some certain things that they are recognized for. So that's why like Saint Simeon, the new theologian, Saint Gregory, the theologian, they have the title theologian because we think they really represent the unity between mystical and intellectual in the church. And in that sense, you have like the fathers that really contributed to the theology exposited at the councils. And in that sense,
Sure.
on the intellectual side, they might be held in a bit higher regard than others.
So they're held in a higher regard in terms of, especially things that are in terms of things that are, I guess, related to or very closely
And the doctrines that
related
were
to things.
adopted by the councils.
Right.
So it's like
So
not
like,
everything
yeah.
that St.
Right.
Maximus wrote
Obviously not
is
everything
equal
the
to the
saints say.
six.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just had one more question.
Sure.
About, you said something about a system like the canon, Protestant canon. You take out the canon, they then appeal to their own tradition, because you have to appeal to some sort of tradition. You can't just appeal to whatever.
Or
You said,
gnosis, special knowledge.
yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's their
Special
two
knowledge.
options. Yeah.
But I was more confused about, could you expand on the multiple canons within different like Eastern Orthodoxy? I'm not sure if Ethiopian Orthodoxy. How can you expand on that not being a system destroyer? Because I'll just explain it. Like, to me, like, if there, I'm not saying there is, but if there was something in a different canon that went against what you're saying, then it would be a system destroyer, right?
And then we would have a council about it and we would figure it out.
Okay. That's fair.
That's why if we have disputes, and then we have councils about them and we come to a decision and the decision is received by the church, then that means the system is working properly. So for example, we have like a bunch of schisms in the first century that lasted for 40 years there, 50 years there, 60 years there. It's not a system level destroyer for us because the system is meant to take a little bit, to have a little bit of give.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if there is somebody who has some like really abstruse canon, some canonical jurisdiction out there, then their bishop would be taken to task by the synod and we would figure it out. But so far, the bishops have not seen, if the Georgian Patriarchate has 4 Maccabees, they haven't seen this as something worth having a council over.
Okay. Yeah, I guess coming from my framework as a Protestant, now inquiring into Orthodoxy, you tend to look at Scripture as in, like, but I see what you're saying.
Yes, you
Okay.
have Protestant eyes. This is why I think for me, like, I can't emphasize this enough, developing a proper phronema with the fathers.
Phronema? I'm sorry?
Yes. So phronema is a Greek term. It refers to like the filter through which you see the world. It's like the lens
Okay.
through
Your
which you see the
worldview, yeah.
world. Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to develop the phronema of the fathers of the church.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then you'll see something like Saint Simeon, the new theologian, says Christ is a sacrifice or something. And then you're like, whoa, this is penal substitutionary atonement. And then you're like, no, he's referring to the Passover, like Christ is the Passover lamb.
No, I've really never had any issue with like the exact way that, this is exactly penal substitute. Like, I don't care about that, but
yeah.
All right. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks for calling
whoever
in, man.
that Cleve guy, by the way,
guy.
when I was first looking
Yes.
into Orthodox, I looked into Orthodoxy probably like 6 months ago. I don't know how long ago, in April or something. And then I started watching a lot of his videos And I was like, maybe this thing isn't right. So I kind of put it off, but you know, I fully stopped watching his stuff, and then I was kind of getting more convinced of it again. And so I guess now he's Orthodox. That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Just
great.
thought
I
I'd
love
drop
Cleve.
that.
He's a very down to earth, salt of the earth kind of guy. Very
All right, man.
genuine guy.
Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but have a great night.
Yes. Octavian33, $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Octavian. Alex, I'm here to present you with the trophy for #1 salesman of SSRIs for calendar year 2025. All due to your ecclesial anxiety video. Dude, my chat is the funniest chat, for real. You guys have a great sense of humor. Octavian33 again, $9.99. Thank you, Octavian. Catholics tend to go hide and argue from obscure corners of the canons. They need to be brought to the present Muslims' papacy. Yeah, Vatican II, I think, I mean, people like Trent Horn will just straight up say that they don't think Vatican II is binding. That you don't need to believe Vatican II. That's like pretty crazy in my view. JB Peltier donated $5. Thank you, JB Peltier. I never bust it down, restarted style. Does God hate me? I don't know what that means. And Sleef6 has become a member. Thank you, Sleef6. I appreciate that, man. You are the man. We got a few more folks in the chat here. Jonathan. Jonathan, welcome to the X Spaces. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you have any good books on that present the case of the kingdom of God being a present reality and not just a future.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I have a great recommendation on that. It's called A Second Look at the Second Coming, Sorting Through the Speculations by T.L. Frazier.
Okay. Second look to the second.
A Second Look at the Second Coming by T.L. Frazier. I'm pretty sure you can get this from the Ancient Faith website. It's published by Ancient Faith Publishing. This is more of a book dismantling dispensationalism. He has a few chapters on what the Orthodox view of the 1,000 years is. He talks about Chiasm, which is the false belief. Yeah, there's a bit of an echo when I talk just with Jonathan, so I can hear myself through your speaker, Jonathan, just a little bit. I think the chat was mentioning it. But yeah, A Second Look at the Second Coming by T.L. Frazier. That is the book you want for this. It's a very good book.
Okay, and then I was also gonna ask if you could make a video on that, present like the biblical case for how the kingdom is a present reality.
That would be a good idea for it. I think dispensationalism is a pretty fun topic. So maybe I could see something like the 1,000-year kingdom, like reality or metaphor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I will consider that. I think my time is very precious these days because I also have to, not prepare for my debate with Elijah Yasi. So Elijah, if you're listening, yeah, Elijah, if you're listening, I'm not preparing. That means you don't have to prepare either.
Looking forward for that debate.
Yeah. Well, I did have an interview with my spiritual father that I recorded. I'm editing that, and that will be posted soon. He has some very, very cool stories, so I think that will be edifying as well.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for calling in, Jonathan.
Have a night.
You too. Michael?
Hello.
What's up, Michael? What's on your mind?
Hey, so I realized kind of after the fact that this was a Protestant call-in. I'm like an atheist non-believer. Is that still cool?
Sure.
Okay. So I've been attending a parish for 3 months or so, kind of looking into all this stuff for years, but I just kind of started. I guess my main thing, to be short, is so I come from maybe a perennialist sort of Sam Harris, like religion without the religion kind of stuff, to like spiritual practices and such.
Okay.
So I kind of understand that the Orthodox understanding is that, all or other religions can have sort of truth because all truth is from
Yes,
God.
They can stumble upon it.
Right. So coming from like the more, I don't know, the background of like choosing any particular religion and just kind of using those practices, how does the similar experience from those religions kind of relate to an Orthodox understanding, if that makes sense?
So this is something Seraphim Rose talks in his book on the toll houses called The Soul After Death, or actually more so in Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. So yeah, I think that would be a good book to read on this. There could be perhaps, so like when we talk about Pentecostalism, or actually here, let's go to the Bible. Cornelius the centurion was not a member of the church. He was not Jewish. He's not a member of the Old Testament church or the New Testament church. It just says that he feared God, and he prayed to God, and he saw an angel. So it's possible that God would reveal himself to someone who is not a member of the institution of the church, although that would definitely be the exception to the rule, and there was a specific purpose for that as well. Immediately after Cornelius, came into contact with Peter, and he joined the church. So I think perhaps it's possible, in a hypothetical sense, that there could be some genuine spiritual experiences, like, I don't know, some guy in China out there who has no access to the gospel, who was born outside of the church. However, we are told that the devil, the bad spiritual beings, can masquerade as angels of light. So that's why, like, the Orthodox Church is so important. And you see this in Vladimir Lossky's, the first chapter or two of his mystical theology of the Eastern Church. Talks about how, yes, mysticism is an aspect of it, but you need the guardrails of the Orthodox Church. Otherwise, who knows what you're exposing yourself to out there, because there's a vast spiritual world, and you need the Orthodox Church to know that your experiences are genuine. Otherwise, you have nothing concrete to keep you in check, to keep you safe.
So would the conception of, say, like, I don't know, a Buddhist meditation retreat, or like those deep spiritual experiences that people have, or something like that, is it all still, it could be like demonic or something, or is it still from God? It's just not the fullness, or how does that work?
I think most of that is demonic. You're exposing yourself to a lot of spiritual entities. And, as Orthodox Christians, when you get baptized, at least the tradition is that you receive a specially assigned guardian angel, right? So you have the anointing, the chrismation, you have the Holy Spirit within you, you have the good guys, the good spiritual beings with you. There's a layer of protection from these spirits. I don't understand how, like, in Pentecostalism, you're exposing yourself, or in witchcraft, you're exposing yourself to all of these spiritual forces. There's absolutely no way to tell from that perspective which ones are bad and which ones are good, because they are inherently deceitful. So yeah, I think you would love Father Seraphim Rose's works. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've been reading. I think I have most or all of his books, and stuff on the Christmas list too. And he's definitely on point with this stuff for sure. I was just kind of trying to broaden the stuff. I have so much stuff on my mind, but can I go one more?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Okay. So I guess coming from the non-belief background, a lot of, I wouldn't quite say I was moving towards scientism, but it's my understanding that evolution and stuff like that is not completely incompatible. There's no, like, dogma necessarily, as long as we relate it all to God, and that God, like, essentially a theistic evolution. I guess these are super, not salvation stuff, but some stuff that rolls around in my head. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry. I got distracted by something in my chat, man. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Can you please repeat your question? I'm very sorry.
Essentially, I know there's no dogma specifically about evolution, and stuff like that, but is theistic evolution like an acceptable position, or does it have to be this literal creationism?
I think you should read Basil's Hexameron. I think that the patristic, no, I'm not absolutely sure of this, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think the patristic consensus is that Genesis creation is not a science text, and that it was their spiritual truths conveyed through symbols and metaphor. That said, there's also a mode of interpretation that is basically like, if the literal meaning of the text is not true, then that kind of invalidates the metaphorical and symbolic meanings as well. So I guess the text on this, me personally, again, like you said, I don't think there's a dogma on this. Personally, I am not a believer in theistic evolution. I am like a huge intelligent design proponent. I know that there are a bunch of merits on each side of the argument there. But the text that really formed me on this was Seraphim Rose's Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. And if I
Okay.
remember
Yeah,
correctly,
that's in one of my wish lists there, but it's a little expensive.
yeah, well, I lucked out. I saw that some monastery had it back in print, and I
Oh well.
ordered it as soon as I saw it, and then like 2 days
Yeah.
later, I saw that it was sold out. So it is a very in-demand text. But if you keep an eye out, actually, let me see. Let me see if I have the publisher here. Saint Herman of Alaska Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have a. They probably have a website. I guess I don't remember exactly
I
the
think they do.
website I bought it on. But if you just keep an eye out, or like send them an email and ask them like, hey, when is there like another batch of these coming in? Like, when can I expect it? Or is it going to be a while? Also, I
Yeah.
think if you go into Jay Dyer's Orthodox Discord, they might have it in the PDF bank.
Okay.
So you might be able to find it there. That is the text that for me. And I think ultimately his conclusion is that you have to believe in some kind of physical, some kind of literal basis in Genesis. Not that you have to be like a young earth literal 7-day creationist, but I think that you have to believe in some literal grounding in that text in order
Yeah.
to fall within the permissible range of views in Orthodoxy.
Right. Well, I'm never going to say never, because I mean, I said that years ago, but here I am going to church and believing in God and moving toward baptism and all that stuff. So, it's
Glory
all
to
a slow
God, man. I'm
process.
so
It's
glad
all,
to hear that.
yeah, it's a super slow process. But, um, so one other thing that's on my mind is the idea of, have you heard of Panentheism, like God in all things and all things are
Familiar
in
with the
God?
idea, yes.
Okay. It seems to be compatible. I know Callista Ware has a book about it. Do you have any particular thoughts of that?
Um,
Or are you not familiar with it?
I'm not too familiar enough with the panentheist, the specifics and details of the panentheist worldview.
Right.
But it does sound similar to, I guess, like the Logoi doctrine of Saint Maximus, that there's
Yeah,
like
I think.
some principle and everything. I would be hesitant
Yeah.
to say that like any philosophical worldview is compatible with orthodoxy, because as you
Right.
know, being somebody who's curious in philosophy yourself, each worldview comes with its own entailments, and you don't necessarily see
100%.
them all at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that someone put it best. It's orthodoxy accepts panentheism with some qualifiers. So it's like, of course, it's not a full acceptance, but it related to me because I come from that. I don't know. Maybe best word is perennialist. Like basically, all things are a path to God, and everything is to God. So it made a lot of sense to me, which is why it triggered something in my head. Well, if this makes sense to my previous worldview, is it still acceptable in the Orthodox worldview? So do I have to, where do I have to shift here? But I was pleasantly surprised that it seems to kind of make sense. If I can do one more kind of super
Yeah,
specific one, if you have time.
sure.
Okay, so this is something I was thinking about. So I've been kind of going through the Psalter, which is what my priest recommended for this time. So reading one Kathisma a day through the Psalter, and the earlier Psalms, it's like a lot of God's wrath and God's doing this for me and God's destroying my enemies and doing all this. What's the conception of the Old Testament God, how God has changed through the New Testament, and like the division between the two testaments, I guess.
Well, he hasn't changed. He's the same God in our view. And there's this idea that you see like that God is a fire, a refining fire, but for those who are saved, it's perceived as the uncreated light, and for those who are wicked, it's perceived more as like a painful, wrathful fire, because through their works and through the way they live their life, their experience of God is going to be very painful because they don't want to be in the presence of God. Where was I going? I had an idea and then I got distracted. This is the same God, different experiences of God. Shoot, man, my brain is starting to shut down.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the idea of like, they're obviously very wicked people, and that if you read the book of Jonah, you're going to see at the very end that God still gives them a chance to repent. And this is covered in Paul's writings too, that like, it says that sin abounded between Adam and Noah, but it wasn't imputed upon them. And that there's like a certain, I guess, barometer that God has with his wrath, where he will accept like a certain amount of wrongdoing. But, you know, even Christ, Revelation is a very bloody book, man. Like, God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So he will come back to judge, and he judged in the Old Testament, and he will judge when he comes back again.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Last thing, just thanks for your videos. They've been useful. And do you have any specific, maybe, I don't know,
Thank you.
YouTube or books or something for someone coming from essentially the new atheist kind of era, but also, you know, I'm more, I don't know, for the lack of a better word, spiritual or religious than most of those folks. And I feel like that's a little bit of a gap in sort of some of the Orthodox stuff online. Is it's focused on conversion from Protestantism or something. As there's kind
Yeah,
of a gap on the new atheist folks a little
I
bit.
agree. Yes, there is a gap there. I would say, have you read Father Seraphim's essay or book on nihilism?
I have it in my backpack right now at work.
Yeah, that would be the one I would recommend. I think
Okay,
that's
perfect. Yeah.
it's actually, you see his academic side a bit more, because it's actually, I think it's an earlier writing of his, and you kind of see over time that his writing becomes like more and more humble, I guess might be the term. He uses
Right.
more and more plain language with his later works. It's an earlier work. You see it's like very academic and a little technical.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the place to start with that. That would be the book.
Okay, perfect. I'll pick that up later today and try to get into it. But I appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Okay, so that does it. See, Father Chris Johnson subscribed. Thank you, Father Chris. Yeah, I don't think Father Stephen DeYoung heard me earlier when I like very much acknowledged him. Father Stephen DeYoung, thank you so much. I am very honored to have you in my chat. Your book, Religion of the Apostles, played an enormous role while I was inquiring into Orthodoxy. I think that will become like a classic among Orthodoxy. It's a very, very important book, and it helped me so much. I really appreciate your where I'm going to close the X space anyway. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Okay, ended the X space here. We're going to be winding down here also in the stream. We've been going almost 4 hours. Oh man, I would have bailed. Father Stephen, thank you so much for your work. It really is invaluable. I cannot wait for your atonement book to come out. I have a ton of your work on the shelf here. St. Paul the Pharisee, Religion of the Apostles, God is a Man of War. Your work has been invaluable to me. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you in my chat. Father Stephen was robbed of his epic moment. Yeah. It's an absolute honor to have you in my chat here. You are the man, Father Stephen. My Father Chris says my audio is bad, both speaking and hearing. Yeah, I don't. Whenever I try to run an Xbase on YouTube and I try to stream at the same time, it becomes like super laggy and chalked. So that's why I was trying to do it through my phone that one time. That tended to work when I was able to get it to come through the mic. But yes, I tried to get you in to get like you missed my Saint Augustine deep dive on Twitch, and thank God that it's helpful. Yes. Yeah, you got to make your replays available, Father, on the archives available on Twitch, because I would definitely go in and listen to those. Back in print is Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. Yeah, whenever that's in print, guys, you gotta buy that up because that goes so fast, man. And it's you get a lot for your money's worth. Like, look at this book. Look, that's like what, a solid 2 inches of pages. Like, you get a lot for your money's worth. Yeah, very good book. So I haven't had the pleasure to really dissect it yet because I also have like real life that I have to deal with. But yeah, if I could just sit around and read books all day, I would do that. Yeah. Alex, are you using OBS to stream? I am using OBS. Is that why my Twitter Spaces is chalked? They're on my YouTube channel and labeled Q&As. Very good. All right, I will go listen to that, Father Stephen. Also, Father Stephen, I am waiting for that citation to, what was it, the Mishnah, or the I think you said it was the Jerusalem Talmud, referring to the idolaters lining up to like kiss idols or something that sounded a lot like veneration. I was just going to say that you covered the question well and emphasized the importance of being a friend while evangelizing friends. Yeah, I'm always hesitant to take those more like pastoral questions because I know that there's clergy, like the way my spiritual father explained it to me is like dogmatics are like fine, right? Because dogmatics are kind of like math. Like, you just kind of learn it and you go along, and everything kind of makes sense eventually. But then like people ask these more like pastoral questions, like how should I talk to this person? And I'm like, I'm not a priest, man. Like, I'm not a spiritual father. So I just kind of do my best. And, you know, if I have clergy in the chat, I always try to defer to them on that. Or like, I like working with Cleve on some of those questions because he was pastor and he has a little bit more of that pastoral. But I sent it to Ben the day after my stream. Ben is holding out on me, man. Ben is holding out on me. Is Cleve still in the chat? I'm going to message him. He did not give it to me. He is not in the chat. I'm going to message Cleve. I can't believe that he didn't send it to me. I will follow up with Cleve on that, Father Stephen. I appreciate that. You can't argue someone into the church. They'll only leave again, even if you win. Best to lead by example and with love. Yeah. That's awesome. Very good advice. And I think obviously it's true. A lot of the stuff is not intellectual. A lot of the stuff is like, there are a lot of social pressures, and fundamentally it's a heart issue. Could you send me a copy okay, Nick, I will, once I get it from Ben, I will like post it on Twitter or on my story or something, or I'll post it in my communities tab here. Cause I think that's a pretty useful, man. That debate was so crazy though, between Father Stephen and Gavin. He like so slyly just turned it to, you have to have sola scriptura, because if not, you have some abomination like Nicaea 2, like God forbid. But yeah, he turned it into a debate on icons. Like, it was just a very, very strange. I think Jonathan Peugeot commented on that and pointed that out. It's like, yeah, very, very, very odd. And then in his most recent video, I asked him, I have the most liked comment on that video, asking him to a dialogue. Absolute radio silence for what, like 2 days now. Complete radio silence. And then all these slanderers of Holy Orthodoxy on Twitter, like Need God and Bible in Context, they talk so much smack. And then as soon as I get some momentum behind me, asking them like, hey, the people want to see us interact, they want to see our worldviews go head to head, complete radio silence. Absolute radio silence. They are gone. Genesis Creation and Early Man is on Amazon. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that are like third-party vendors that sell it for like thousands, but if you can find it on Amazon for a reasonable price, go get it. The idea of panentheism is that creation is not God, but that creation exists within God somehow. I think maybe they're onto something there, but again, I don't think you can like take a philosophical worldview outside of Orthodoxy and then impose it onto Orthodoxy, because Holy Orthodoxy is an all-encompassing worldview, right? So it's an incomplete truth at best. And like I explained earlier, there are certain entailments with worldviews that are not Orthodox that you might not be aware of that have downstream effects. Like, that's why you see this in like Protestantism as well, that their worldview has a lot of downstream effects that they don't consider, like penal substitutionary atonement. Well, that kind of messes up your entire doctrine of the Trinity. I just ordered a copy for $45. That's an excellent deal. I think I paid more than $45. I think I paid like 60 or something for mine. So yeah, guys, go grab a copy of Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. That's, I don't want to say it's the definitive view, but I think Basil's Hexameron would probably be a more authoritative text, obviously, than Father Seraphim Rose's text. But Father Seraphim Rose incorporates a lot of patristics in his writings, a lot. So that's definitely a safe text to develop your view. What I'm trying to say is it is a within the permissible range of views in Orthodoxy. It's more of a God in all idea. It seemed pretty compatible with the essence energies, but what do I know? Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, look, worldly philosophies are useful, but St. Paul has a thing or two to say about worldly philosophies. And Father Stephen says there's a sort of debate in book form involving me and Ortland and some others coming out soon related to ecclesiology. I am waiting with bated breath. I am waiting with bated breath. Everything you write, Father Stephen, is worth its weight in gold. Ortland is a Reformed Baptist. No. Ortland, he claims to have Reformed Baptist views, but he is a member at a non-denominational Bible church, an independent, as far as I know, it's independent, an independent Bible church. At the very least, it looks that way. That's what they say on their website. So I don't know if they're a part of any larger organization. I think there's a collective of churches that they're a part of, but as far as they're concerned, they can do whatever they want. I love how these books are getting printed more with the recent boom of Orthodoxy. There's definitely demand for it, and there's going to be more and more demand. Because you look around at, like, a lot of people love to hate him, but the work that Jay Dyer has done has, like, shown that, you know, these arguments are against Orthodoxy are, like, really bad. Like, really, really bad. Like, not even, like, oh, okay, maybe we can understand, like, his perspective, and maybe there's a third way. Like, no. They're really bad. They have really bad entailments. And yeah, of course, this is already in the fathers, like especially St. Palamas and Barlaam. Like St. Palamas really showed that Barlaam's views are really, really bad. Like, not even like, okay, I could understand Barlaam's view. Like, it's really bad. They're horrible entailments in Barlaam's worldview. And Jay is just doing the work of, you know, re-litigating all of these debates that have happened in the past and drawing the parallels. Like when he was talking about, oh, you think the energies are created, when he was debating Tim Gordon, and he's like, oh, you're a polytheist. You believe in a created divinity. That is ripped, like word for word, right out of Palamas's debate, St. Palamas's debate with Barlaam. So a lot of Jay's work is like, you know, in the same way Michael Heiser, he was saying like, I have not come up with anything new. All my work is just citations of the scholarly literature. Yeah, Jay kind of has a similar approach because, like, none of his arguments are really new. He just knows all the arguments of the patristics, and he did the assigned readings, and he can spot the issues when he sees them in the real world. He's a very good issue spotter. And he's, oh, okay, so this person's objective is this person's objection is the same as Barlaam's, or this person's objection is the same as Eunomius. And he can spot these issues very good. The arguments are so bad, it's child's play, whereas Jay's a battering ram. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you need that. And I think he perhaps has earned the right to be a battering ram because he's been doing this for a long time. And I mean, there's only so much a man can take of like literally the same arguments over and over again. Nemini, $5. Thank you very much, Nemini. I've yet to see a popular Protestant apologist who believes all their church teaches straight down the line. Yeah. Even Cleve had independent beliefs. Yeah, I agree. And and they don't have 2,000 years of patristic teaching to show, like, on those things that are not definitive dogmas, that are not like very specifically defined, the permissible range of views that you're allowed to have on this thing. Father Chris says, if you do know the answer, say come and see anyway. Yes. Make sure you don't beat them over the head with it. Yeah, exactly. That's the pastoral line of thinking that I probably am still developing a bit. That's why I appreciate having clergy in the chat and in the Twitter spaces. But wow, it's almost 1 a.m. over here, guys. I have completely lost track of time. This was a crazy stream, guys. You're giving me the motivation to stream every day. You guys have been so generous today. I appreciate that very much. Really, it truly humbles me that, you know, you guys have contributed so much to the channel today, and also having like these people that I kind of looked up to as heroes, and I still do, like Father Stephen DeYoung, Father Chris, that they're in my chat. That's pretty crazy. Zeke, 20 gifted. Guys, my dopamine receptors are completely burnt. Okay, look at my hair. My dopamine receptors are completely burnt. A mercy. Thank you, guys. More, Alex. More. I'm a slave to the chat. Father Stephen got a gifted. Guys, thank you so much. Zeke, you also made a big contribution the other on, I think, my last stream. That was like 2 weeks ago or so, because I had a lot of like guest appearances one week, so I wasn't really able to add so much that 1 week to my channel. I had like the interview with Jay on Monday, the interview with Christian Mario on Wednesday, and then the interview with Val, Orthodoxy, on Friday. And I wasn't really able to do much, but I remember, Zeke, this is not the first time you contributed to the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys keep the lights on here, and I'm trying to release more content, and you guys make this possible. You guys have me seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, making a full-time gig of this at some point. So I really appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. So go another 10 hours. Well, I would need a little bit more prep for that, guys. Chalk will enhance your dopamine receptors, and then you can stream until 4 a.m. Guys, okay, now actually winding down. Thank you so much for all the contributions tonight. Really has been very humbling for me. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, Ben, Cleave to Antiquity, Father Stephen, Father Chris. Thank you so much for being here. I have to close the stream. So my wife is waiting for me. So I gotta, as much as I love you guys, I love my wife at the very least slightly more than you guys. My books are falling off the shelf. Yeah, because I keep on grabbing them out to reference them. So I'll go fix that right away. But guys, thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you all. God bless everybody that contributed tonight. It's very humbling. And I will try to do these live streams more often, you know, and to have the X spaces a little more often. God bless you guys. Have a good night. So long and fair.